Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS drift.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location, somewhere in the deep and mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. Live from Forest Tower Studios. Brought to you by The Fringe FM. This is Lighting the Void. And now, your host, Joe Root.
Oh, man. Night number 3 on our first week of new broadcasting. And again, from the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas, right here in Forest Tower Studios. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Voices for Verity in this crazy realm of polarity. It is Wednesday, July the 11th, and the night's still pretty here. It's nice and warm and mild, and the moon is waning on into midnight. So, fire up your chakras, sync both hemispheres of your brain together, and shoot your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight with us as we peer into the void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. That's 1-800-588-0335. We are live on lightingthevoid.com, the Fringe FM at KTLK Digital Broadcasting, and that place is on just about everywhere. TalkStream Live especially, TuneIn, Spreaker, all the lovely places out there. That call to listen line is 701-719-3971. Tonight, one of the best paranormal and horror narrators in the business joins us, Dark Waters, the king of horror. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world that does this thing, and we're glad to have him on our first week of broadcasting here at our new time. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have a free-for-all, open lines. Midnight Mike from ODBM will be joining us, so will Corin Wilson, some of the crew, and we're going to be taking your calls. But tonight, it's all about Dark Waters. And real quick, I want to say thanks to all of you who have been supporting the show. Thank you to all of you who have donated. Special shout-out to Marie. Thank you so much. Keep that stuff coming if you can. It really helps. We got the T-shirts out there, and we're trying to do more to get support coming our way. So all that, whenever you guys do that, it really helps. I thank you so much. But first and foremost, for taking the time out, I want to let you know that I don't take this lightly. Even though I'm an amateur, and you're kind of watching me develop as I go along, I don't take it lightly that you're taking a few hours of your night every night to listen to the show. I know how time is for people. So when I have a guest on, or when I see you in the chat room, or I know that you're listening, I do not take that lightly. So any and all feedback is welcome. The feedback email is talkback@thefringe.fm. And another thing that I've done, if you go to audibletrial.com/LTV radio, go get, Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. It's free. You get a 30-day free trial. That helps out the show. And then grab you a T-shirt. I know we've sold a few T-shirts, and that's really cool. But what I want you to do is understand how long it takes for those things to get out, because they make them as they get ordered. So it takes a few days to make them, and then it takes a few days to ship them. But I really want you guys to do me a big favor. When you get the T-shirts, take a picture of it. You don't have to put your face in there if you don't want. Take a picture of yourself wearing the shirt, and then let me know, right? Or show it to me, because I want to see it. So I'm stoked about this stuff. We're getting hats, too. Fitted hats, trucker hats, all kinds of hats. Thank you for all of you who have been following on social media, posting, liking, sharing. I'm just very grateful to all of you. You can join the Void Walkers newsletter. Some of you told me you're not getting the newsletter, so make sure you check your spam folder, because that comes from a thing called MailChimp, and sometimes it ends up in your spam folder. So if you check your spam folder, you might actually see it in there, and then just make sure you whitelist it. But yeah, we got some new segments coming. So next week, We're going to have some new guests on. I'm trying to fill these guests as fast as I can. So if you go to lightingthevoid.com/chat, there's a guest suggestion room in there, and I don't take those lightly either. So I'm sending those emails out just for you guys so I can have certain guests on that you want. I want to thank my team, Eric Markham, Jeremy Scott, and all my insiders who help me every night. Also, don't forget the hashtag is LTV Radio. You know, last night I said the hashtag is Spaced Out Radio, and I forgot that I'm no longer at Spaced Out Radio, so it was a habit. You have to forgive me. But we're going to get this show moving right along. So let's bring on our guest, Dark Waters. Dark Waters burst into the paranormal community in 2015 and has taken it by storm with his one-of-a-kind storytelling abilities. Hailing from New Orleans, Louisiana, a paranormal hotspot, Dark's down-home southern vernacular combined with his smooth voice and outgoing personality have quickly made him a household name. Now, he has appeared on some of the biggest paranormal podcasts and radio shows around the world, including Coast to Coast AM, Beyond the Darkness Radio, Beyond the Edge Radio, Midnight in the Desert, and a whole lot more. He's been on this show a couple times, too. Now, Dark's unique, high-quality audio content mentally takes you to the scene of the paranormal encounter and safely allows you to relive every breathtaking moment. Now, Dark Waters maintains a massive library of true encounters by making himself publicly available, which I got to give him props because his phone's ringing off the hook 24/7. He takes it used to take 30 calls per week, but I bet it's probably that or more. And you can go to the website at www.imdarkwaters.com. Man, it's good to have you back on the show, brother. I really appreciate you spending time with us.
No, I appreciate being back with you, my friend, and I owe honor and respect to you because you've been one of my earliest supporters, and you've been in my corner from the beginning. So as you know, if there's anything you ever need from me, I got your back, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. Let me ask you a question. Is that 30 calls? It's more than that now, isn't it? I bet it is. Got to be getting up there.
Yeah, it's more than that, but I've gotten to the point to where I know what I can handle now. So the phone pretty much starts ringing at about 7:30 every morning. And then I shut it off to where that app won't ring at about 8:30 at night. So I don't have to take all those calls. But it's 20, 30, 40 calls a day. Sometimes it's the same person until they get me. But typically it's unique phone calls. And then, once I start talking to one person, I don't have just one conversation with them. It's like 6, 7 conversations. So it just grows exponentially. And it's fine. I love talking to people. I enjoy it. You'll be amazed at the number of stories that I hear and I guess you can say the overall, difference in the dynamics of the people that I talk to. That's not the right word to use, but some people are doctors, lawyers, engineers. Other people are gas station attendants. Other people are flight attendants. It's just across the board, different personalities, different occupations, and they're all experiencing paranormal things. So I love talking to people, so it's fine with me. My girlfriend says I have more stranger friends than anybody she's ever known. She's like, all these people are strangers, but they're friends. I was like, yeah, they are. I love people, so it works out well for me.
Well, you got a heck of a following. In fact, I showed you a message this week by listeners. It was Paul, because we play a segment of your show Sundays and all of that stuff we get from your website. And, he was like, I heard this guy talking about Wolfman, and I think it was we were playing the Lockett Siege, or Lockett
Ranch.
Yeah.
Right.
And I told him, I said, Paul, it's, his website's at imdarkwaters.com. He's like, oh, thank you. And you got your own stream up there, and you got it going on. And I'll be honest with you, I listen to it too, man. Now there's a lot of shows I fall asleep and listen to, just because I like listening to radio and I fall asleep. But I'm going to admit, I've had a hard time falling asleep listening to some of your radio, just because it scares me, man.
Yeah, that's not designed to go to sleep to, bro. You're not supposed to go to sleep to that.
No,
that is not designed to go to sleep to. I don't go to sleep to it. There's a few people whose voices put me to sleep. Like if I want to go to sleep, I listen to you. I listen to Heather. And then there's the old Art Bell stuff. For whatever reason, that knocks me out immediately.
Right. Well, the Dogman thing. Okay, so last night we talked about Bigfoot a little bit with Thomas Seward, and I wanted to keep this going with you. And the Dogman thing, I think, is what scares me the most, because ever since I heard your work, and a lot of these stories come from the South too, and I've been in the woods my whole life down here, and it just really freaks me out. And my friends like Jeff Gilson, that was here the one time I interviewed you, never admitted to me that he saw dark glowing eyes when he was a kid looking in his window. So the cryptid thing has always been the thing that I have, I guess, doubted or been skeptical about the most. But the more I interview people and the more I get into it, the more people are coming out, not just, on hearing it on your show, but they're coming out and telling me about things that have happened to them. So now when I walk out to the edge of the woods doing whatever I do here at night, I take a few steps back, No,
and across the board, sightings pretty much of everything, I would say, are up. Now, I know when you come to Dogman has a lot of exaggeration in some of the stories that people are telling. But when you get into Bigfoot, demonic stuff is off the meat rack right now. I don't know what's going on with that. It's crazy. When you get into that, you get into, for some reason, people are seeing a whole lot more UFOs. They're seeing more things in the sea, more sea creatures, especially those guys that are out working on oil rigs right now. They're seeing crazy stuff. So for some reason, there's a heightened level of paranormal activity going on. But I think also it's in conjunction with a heightened level of disasters going on around the world as well, and things kind of going awry all over the planet, whether it be volcanoes, earthquakes, and just bad things happening all over the place. So when we start talking about Dogman, in the Dogman stories and Dogman encounters, I do find it strange that a lot of the stories I get are from the southeastern part of the United States. I mean, they really are, and it spans all the way from Texas all the way up to the Carolinas, those encounters. And some of them are extremely frightening, but more so, they're, what I would say is, not terrorizing the individual. Not Dogman is terrorizing a person, but it's more so that the Dogman is trying to instill a certain level of fear. For example, and it's easier to explain this by telling you a story. One of the latest stories that I received was from Hazelhurst, Mississippi. There was a young lady that was working in Hazelhurst, Mississippi at a Waffle House. And during the evening time, well, not the evening time, her late night shift, she was the person who had to take the garbage out of the back door and put it in a dumpster, because there's a dumpster right behind the building. So every night she would take the garbage out and put it in a dumpster. She said that every night when she took the garbage out to put it in a dumpster, she always felt like something was looking at her. One particular night she goes out, she's got 5 bags of trash that she's got to put in the dumpster. She gets the 3rd bag in and she starts to hear this growling sound. And she said the growling was so loud that she felt the plastic lid. You know, you have those big dumpsters, Joe, and you lift the plastic lid up.
Yeah.
She said she felt the plastic lid vibrating in her hand, which scared her to death because she knew it wasn't a dog. A dog doesn't growl like that. So she turns and runs back, and the restaurant closed the door. And the next night she has to do it again. Well, this growling happened every other day, or really every other day, because it was some days that she didn't work, but every other day that she was there, this growling would happen. And it was like it was trying to instill a certain level of fear in her. This went on for about 2 weeks, and then finally it showed itself to her. And she said that she urinated on herself. That was, she didn't use those words. She said, James, sure. I urinated on myself when I saw this. Now, to paint a picture for you, imagine there's a wood line behind the building that you're working at, and you walk out the back door to the dumpster, and then the minute you get out there, you hear the growling. Like the minute you not your back turned to the woods, like the minute you get out there, you hear the growling. You start hearing it coming towards you, and it steps into the light, and you can see this creature. And she described it the way people I know who tried to hunt them and have seen them and have shot them described the Dogman. Like there's description of Dogman where it's like, oh, it had like a big head, and It had arms that hung down to its knees, and it had hocks. And those are like those general descriptions that people kind of try and exaggerate. But when you start getting into muscle structure and bone structure and how the rib cage sits and how the muscles around the rib cage move when it breathes, like she was getting into stuff that let me know that she really, really saw the creature. And needless to say, she's not working there anymore. She's not working there at all anymore. But, dogman sightings are happening all over the place in the Southeast is the point I'm making. I think out of all the cryptids, it's the most frightening one. More so because of its attitude towards us than anything. And I'm on the fence with the more dogman stories I hear, really I'm more on the fence with what it is now. I was convinced that it was a flesh and blood creature. I'm saying I'm 50-50 now, right? Because there have been people who told me stories about literally dogman being in their bedroom, but they gave the same description as a person who had an encounter in the woods. I mean, the same detailed body description, because you don't really have much to go on. For some reason, nobody has a picture, but the descriptions, I mean, these detailed descriptions about the colors of the hair and how the hair is actually two colors instead of one, how the hair is gray, it's gray and fades to black, or black and fades to gray, or red and fades to brown. Like, it's these little bit small details that people who've had dogman encounters can actually describe to you. And it's not stuff that's readily known unless they just listen to every dogman podcast on the planet and they decided they were going to try and fool me. But it's just these small, minute things. Like, everybody knows about the smell of dogman. Some people say it smells like, wet pennies. It smells like blood. But when a person just tells you a story about waking up in the middle of the night and there's a dogman in their room standing in a corner looking at them, and then it disappears, but then there's urine on the floor, physical urine, a puddle of urine on the floor, you're like, okay, well, like, I don't know. Like, how could it be in the house?
Out so bad I spilled my coffee. Damn it.
Yeah, so it gets to the point to where it's like, okay, well, how do you physically get in somebody's house and then disappear? So part of it makes me think it's part demonic, or maybe there's some kind of demonic entity that can impersonate these creatures, but also that there are real creatures running around in the woods. So I'll say I'm 50-50 at this point in time, and I'm perfectly fine with changing my mind. I change my mind all day long, so I don't know everything. So you never know, I might change my mind next week. But as of right now, I'm 50-50, bro, because some of the stuff that I've been hearing, there's no way it could physically get in your house. The sizes, there's no way it would physically get in your house without tearing a door off or knocking a wall down. And then there's no way for it to disappear. Like, someone closes their eyes because they're afraid and open them again and it's gone. So, dogman is an interesting topic. It's a very easily monetized topic. Anybody who does a dogman show will find themselves wildly popular. It's human. I guess it's us as humans, our fascination with werewolves and, wolf-like creatures. But at the end of the day, I'm leaning towards that 50-50. And then also, to get a little bit deeper into things, I've been really trying to research and find supporting evidence for, both sides of it when it comes to dogman, whether it's a spiritual kind of entity. The keyword is entity, some form of an entity that can manifest itself versus some physical form. The physical form and the physical evidence, we definitely have seen footprints that aren't faked, are not faked. We've seen people who had, I've seen, people whose vehicles been attacked, and you can see the vehicle clearly looks like something ran into the vehicle. There's hairs on the vehicle. But when I started looking on the more spiritual side, the only thing I really found was a demonic entity in the Testament of King Solomon that, when it was summoned, manifested itself as a upright walking wolf. I can't remember the name of it, and I don't really remember demon names because I just don't want that jostling around inside my head.
No, you don't want it in your head, man, for sure.
But but when he the story of King Solomon's temple, and I'll go into it. The story of King Solomon's temple was that he had the artisans building the temple. You got Boaz and Jachin, the two pillars outside of the temple.
Right.
And in the process of constructing the temple, there were artisans, masons, or workers or craftsmen working alongside of demonic entities that he summoned and controlled with God's power and strength, right? So
he bound them with a mark and a sigil too, as well. But there's a lot of people that think they know what that is, but I'm not so sure everybody knows exactly what that mark is.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to go that deep, but yeah. So that's what he did. He bound them with a ring. And well, while we're there, let's just jump off into make it all interesting. He bound the demons with the ring that ruled all rings. That was the ring of rings of all power, which goes back, if you look at the movies what was the movie where they had the elves running around?
And they would Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. So, you see where Hollywood kind of takes things. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to what we were talking about. So one of these demons that he actually summoned and pretty much punked and put to work, because that's what he was doing. He was pimping demons out to do work, which is wild.
It's one way of looking at it, but it's true.
He was. So it was a wolf. And that's the only record I could find of a demon that entity that was a wolf. So, but it wasn't like, all the demons he was summoning were demons that had legions of other demons beneath them. So it was a boss that he was summoning. It wasn't like, it was like a stage boss in a video game. It wasn't like some just weakling that he summoned. It was a boss, but he put him to work. And so that's the only evidence I've found of, some spiritual form of dogman of wolf-like upright walking creature, unless you go into the Native American traditions and get into the skinwalkers, right?
Right.
Which we talked about that before. So I didn't want to get into that. I was trying to look for something else. Everybody knows about skinwalkers and their ability to morph and turn into something different. So that was all I could find. I haven't found anything else. And I know we got a call in line. So hopefully if anybody else has found anything that can educate me, because I'm always learning, please call in and share with us, because I would want to know what you know as well.
Well, I consider myself, and I know you probably don't like this a little bit, but I'm cool with it. I'm a man of God. Everybody knows that, but I do consider myself somewhat of an occultist, and I've read quite a bit about that. And your facts are right, but what I'm really concerned about is when you said earlier that it seems like there's a whole lot of demonic activity happening right now. A friend of mine who I would consider a white magician has been telling me that the astral realm is full of just crazy stuff right now. Like there's portals being opened everywhere for bad things to come. And now if you can get on YouTube, and I know this stuff sounds crazy, guys, I know this, but you can get on YouTube and see all of the people talking about, magic used to be something that people just you don't touch it, right? Now everybody's doing it. So it all kind of makes sense to me. Unless you can elaborate on that, because I know you said that earlier. There's a lot. Didn't you say that? A lot of demonic activity happening?
Oh, no. I agree with you 1,000%. I grew up in a city where I say this all the time. New Orleans is a city where it's like Harry Potter world, because everybody's using some form of magic, whether it's hoodoo, voodoo, something to get what they want. And it's been going on in New Orleans for a long, long time. I think what's happening now is a little bit different. Do I want to talk about that? I guess we could talk about it. I think what's happening now is a little bit different. I think we know that there's great change going on. There's a huge battle of powerful forces, powerful good forces versus powerful bad forces for the future of the planet. You see it. Anybody who has the mind of God and studies the word of God, and I'm a Christian. First of all, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I wouldn't even be talking to you guys right now if it wasn't for my religious beliefs, because I mean, I was not like the best dude on the planet, bro. Like I was not a good. I'm still, there's parts of me that's not a nice person.
Yeah,
but
I got you.
Some of those other parts, you just don't want to meet that guy that used to be there. And I'm appreciative of the opportunity to, have a new life and do things differently. But anyway, with that being said, if you pay attention to the scripture and you pay attention to the times, you see that there's a huge battle going on. And prayer is a part of that battle. There are spiritual forces that are on the dark side that are doing rituals. You see it in the news. You'll see where lions were cut up, and lion parts were cut up for magical rituals. And it's public now where it wasn't public before. And it just means that there's some people out there doing things to obtain power for various different reasons. So, back in the day, the only thing you heard about witchcraft was Aleister Crowley, right? And what he was doing. And you had to get into a book and really read about it. But now it's like it's out publicly everywhere. And that's fine. I mean, that's a part of what's going on. It just means that people like us need to be prayerful and we need to be aware of what's happening. But as far as demonic stuff, there's some, and I recently learned how to truly protect myself from this. So if you don't mind, I'll just go off the chain with this and tell you a lot of the stories that I never told anyone.
Well, we got a couple of minutes till the break, but yeah, you go ahead. I'd love to hear it.
Well, I'll tell you a quick one and one of my personal stories, and then we'll come back to it. About 3 weeks ago, I'm here at home laying on the bed, and I had just finished doing my studying of the scripture, and I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and out of the corner of my eye, well, not really the corner of my eye, because I got the phone on speaker, and it's I'm laying on my back, and I'm looking at the phone, kind of surfing it. You know how you talk on speakerphone and then surf your phone at the same time. And I see this huge, I have 11-foot ceilings in here, maybe 12-foot ceilings. I see this huge shadow walk out of my son's room and into the hallway. And I'm like, okay, what was that? Because, sometimes you see it out of the corner of your eye where your head is turned away from it. Well, I was turned towards the door. Although I was looking at the phone, it was just beyond the phone on the other side of the phone. So I was pretty much face on looking at this happen. And bro, when I tell you, I start to get this vibe coming at me. Now I've had entities in this house before, where they would come in, you would get this chill, just the presence of a spirit. But this wasn't anything I've ever felt before. This was like waves of fear hitting me, like waves, like almost like someone was punching you over and over and over and over and over again, but rapidly hitting you. And it was starting to make me afraid. It started off and it started at my feet, and then it rose up my feet to my knees. And by the time I got off the phone with her and decided, hey, this is something really negative, I didn't even tell her it was something negative. I just said, hey, oh man, I really have to use the bathroom. I'm going to call you back because I don't want her freaking out. By the time I get up and commit to this is something negative, like this wave of energy is hitting me over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, whoa, what are you? Why are you here? What are you doing in my house? Mm-hmm. And so I go and I get my Bible, come into this room, and I start reading. I really start reading. I start praying. And then I petition St. Michael, Archangel Michael. And then after I get all that done, I go to the center of my house, and in the name of Jesus, I tell it this has to go. You got to go, bro. I'm like, this is not your place for you to be in. This is not your house. This is my space. I don't know why you're here. I didn't summon you here. I don't want you here. You got to roll out, And it took, at that point in time, the sensation started to subside. And what I mean by subside is, imagine a feeling rising from your feet, and it's trying to come back. The feeling's coming back, but I don't think anything's here. But imagine a sensation rising from your toes, up your body, all the way up to the top of your head. And then there's this boom, 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 almost like a heartbeat, just the tempo of a heartbeat, but it's just like bam, 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 bam.
Like an energy rush, maybe? Yeah, okay.
Like a energy hitting you like that, not a rush inside my body, the chill feeling rose like that, but then the energy hitting me was external. It wasn't internal. So it like that feeling starts to subside and it goes down. You feel it like that, and that's fear. I think that's adrenaline and fear I was actually feeling. It starts to subside and it gets down to my knees, but it won't go away. And so I get in the bed, I lay across the bed, and I'm saying to myself, I said, well, God, I said my prayers, man. I feel like this thing hasn't left. And I don't think there's much more I can do. I'm leaving this up to you. You know, I need you to deal with this. And part of me says, well, you're afraid. You know how that voice in your head says stuff to you. Part of me says, well, you're afraid. And I'm like, yeah, I'm afraid. And it said, don't be afraid. Go to sleep. You're fine. And I passed out, bro. Boom, I was gone. Woke up the next day. And I felt a little something, but it wasn't anything major. I prayed again the next day. And then after that, it was gone. I mean, no issues, no problems, no nothing. But I know it was demonic because there have been other people who called me with the exact same description of what I felt they described.
That's intense,
the exact same description. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? I still haven't figured out why that came, what the purpose of it was. But hey, I guess somebody said, let's go check on this dude and see what he's doing.
Well, that's intense. We're going to be right back with Dark Waters. Whew. And then, guys, remember, there's a call-in number, 1-800-588-0335. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. We'll be right back after this.
Radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Reverend John M. Polk from johnpolkmedia.com, and you can listen to my show, The Quantum Hologram Matrix, every Thursday night. ETs, UFOs, metaphysics, the paranormal, and more are some of the many topics we will cover on The Quantum Hologram Matrix. Make sure you bring your higher concentric multidimensional selves. That's every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Fringe FM.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
You asked for it. We listened.
Changes are coming to the Fringe FM. Hear the Paranormal Code with Rich Giordano live Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, starting July 9th.
July 9th, we're going to be going 4 nights a week on the Fringe FM.
Followed by Lighting the Void with me, Joe Roop, live at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Then, stay up with us in the early morning hours for some of the best paranormal and alternative programming around. The truth is out there, and so are we. The Fringe FM.
Ahoy there, Gigi here.
And I'm Cortana, and we're here to take you on a journey through all things paranormal, metaphysical, ufology, and even psychedelic on our show,
Shift Happens, live every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific. That's 9 to 11 Central, right here on the Fringe FM.
And remember, don't feed the Archons, feed ducks instead.
Duck up.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM. One 1-800-588-0335. 1-800-588-0335 is the call-in number. This is Lighting the Void. I'm Joe Roop. We're here with Dark Waters. We're live on the Fringe FM. Thanks for joining us. Dark was just telling us about an experience where something, I guess, got into your house or something, and you got rid of it. I want to go on the record and say right here that we talk about magic quite a bit on this show, and we've had magicians on the show, and a real magician will tell you this, and they've all told me this. You can do rituals or whatever the stuff you want to do. I have no qualms against anybody's spiritual practice. But I will say, in my life, prayer has been the one thing that's always worked 100% of the time for me, Dark. Just being honest with you, man. I'm not trying to push anything on anybody. It just has,
No, I mean, prayer absolutely works. And I didn't say exactly what I did, and I think it's irresponsible for me not to say, because there are people out there dealing with similar situations. I prayed Psalms 141 when that, whatever that was, came in. I prayed Psalms 90, and then I believe it was Psalms 42. So I prayed all three of those Psalms, and I just opened the Bible, walked around my house praying those Psalms. Then I closed the book, and I prayed petitioning St. Michael, or Archangel Michael, saying, Archangel Michael, because anybody who knows anything about Michael, if you studied, Michael was pretty much a head buster. Like he don't play when it comes to demons. He cracks skulls. And I said, Michael, in the name of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, I said, I petition you to come here and remove whatever this is. And I went and lit a candle. And then I walked back into the center room, and I said, okay, now it's time I said, you don't want to leave. I said, you're going to have to deal with the big dog. And I said, I plead the blood of Jesus Christ. This is my household, and I need you to leave now. This is not your space. This is not where you belong. This is not what you should be doing. Go, leave. And I actually got angry. I got extremely angry at that point in time, because I felt like I was being violated, and I didn't want to be afraid. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a kid, Joe, I've told you my childhood story about that shadow that came from me in Mississippi. And anybody who hasn't heard this story, allow me a moment to share it with you, and allow me a moment to be vulnerable with you as well.
Please. As
I share this story. When I was 12 years old, going on 13 in Mississippi, I think I've explained to people before, we had pretty big property. We had two houses on the property. One we called the boys' house, and one we called the girls' house. In the girls' house, you would have dinner, kind of hang out. Everybody would be over there, my aunties, my uncles, or whatever, right? But when it was time to go to bed, because we had so many boys and girls, nobody let boys and girls sleep together at that age. So all the boys were in one house and all the girls was in the other. Well, I had an auntie who particularly didn't like me, so she was being extremely mean to me that night. And I ended up leaving early, because she was like, it was something like I wanted seconds of mashed potatoes, and she was like, "You too fat. You don't need no second of mashed potatoes." And I was like, and I've always been taught to respect my elders, but I'm like, B, thinking like, B, who you talking to like that? But I'm not gonna tell that. So I'm like, I'm gonna roll out, and I leave and go out of the side door under the carport and start heading to the other house. And that's when I have this encounter with this shadow man, this shadow creature, this thing. The height of a basketball rim is 10 feet in the air. This thing was as tall as the top of the box on a basketball backboard. That's how tall it was. Like, there's the rim, then there's a little white box. It was up there above the rim at the box. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty big.
And it moved from behind that basketball goal, which was in darkness, through a light and then back into darkness. And it was solid black as it moved, and it had these kind of red, fiery, not glowing. People like, you watch a movie and there's these red eyes and like some kind of eye shine. Now, these were fiery eyes, and it was coming for me, and I was paralyzed. I heard it saying my name. It was saying my name in my opposite ear, away from the side where it was coming from. So I'm walking from left to right. If you're looking at it, if you can imagine yourself being above this kind of area that I'm in, a house on your left, a house on your right, a basketball goal behind both the houses. I'm moving from left to right. My body's turned going straight across, but I hear it talking on my right-hand side in my ear, and it forces me to freeze. And the only reason why I believe I survived that night is two things. God interceded and sent my older cousin, who and I had, at that point in time, him and I had a great relationship, to come get me, which he got me and yanked me and took me, literally picked me up like I was a rag doll and ran me in the house. And
did your cousin see it too?
Yeah, he saw it. And my cousin later on told me what it was, and I think I've shared that with people. But the point of the story is not to go into, I don't want to just chunk down into all those details. The point I'm making to you is this: that instilled a fear in me that I've never been really comfortable with. It's almost like as a kid, someone has an encounter with a pit bull, right? And that pit bull scares you, and for the rest of your life, you're afraid of pit bulls. Except for my pit bull was a demon. And I never was really comfortable with that. I've never been comfortable with being afraid. And so recently, God has taught me how to protect myself. And I currently believe that the reason why that thing came was for me to realize that I don't need to be afraid anymore, because now I understand what I need to do to get rid of it. So I say all that to just say this to anyone who's listening to what I'm saying now is you can protect yourself with the word of God. And you can protect yourself with magic as well, because there's people who use magic. But just like Joe said, nothing works as good as prayer. And I'm not a magician, but I am a praying man, and I've always been a praying man. And I know that some of the situations I've been in my life, I should not have gotten out of unless it was for the prayers that were answered. So,
I can't tell you how many times I've said this: please, God, if you'll just get me out of this thing, I'll never do it again. Those prayers everybody does, right? When you've done something extremely dumb and you're paying
stupid
for it, and you're like, please, I'll never do this again. Help me. And you're just desperate, and something always comes around and helps you. And just the thing is you got to make sure you don't do it again, But I've been there a few times.
No, and that's just the truth, man. And we're all human. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Clearly, there's no true expectation of us to be 100% perfect, but we do have to try our best. And I'm glad you kind of freed me to go deeper into that during the break, because I think that people need to know that prayer works. There are people that contact me all the time with different issues and problems, and the Dark Waters family prays for them, and they'll contact me back and be like, hey, man, things are going better. So prayer works.
Well, on a magical level, real quick, too, I will say that the Psalms, they put in the Bible, but was originally, I learned this from Jeff Harmon, who's an astrologer, by the way. He's been on the show. And Psalms is a book called the Shemush Tehillim that the Hebrews would use for magical purposes, for protection, for help. And it's a lot older than we think it is. And, I just wanted to throw that out there, too.
No, and you're 100% right. And in the hoodoo tradition here locally, because I've started really expanding the Dark Waters brand locally. So the first thing you do is I reached out to every hoodoo and voodoo person here. I was like, listen, I'm Dark Waters. I tell these stories. You got anything interesting you want to tell me? And at first, everybody was real standoffish. Like, who's this bum coming in here talking about he tells stories? And I'm like, nah, like for real. Like I'll tell you a story. And it's like, nah, I don't want to tell any stories. So finally, people started opening up. And the first thing they started talking about in hoodoo was the power of the Psalms. And then, I was like, nah, this is the most powerful thing you will ever find. And if you're a Christian and you use them, it's even more powerful. Like we use them. That in particular, that was a voodoo person talking, but just like we use them all the time. And then I started asking more questions about hoodoo and how it works. And then started getting educated about it being pretty much a black Protestant sect of religious people who were Christians that would use hoodoo to help the community during times when, things were extremely bad racially around the country. And then it started morphing into other people using it and abusing it, and going down the whole road of, how it ended up into a lot of people's hands today. But needless to say, the whole point I'm making is purely this. The power of the Psalms is extremely powerful. And the word of the Bible is extremely powerful. That whole book is extremely powerful. And unfortunately, people are not taught that. I grew up in a church, in the Southern Baptist Black church, where the pastor would actually read the Psalm. Is that you? Or was that something in my microphone?
No, it's a caller.
I was about to say, whoa. But it's, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Black church where the pastor would kind of hoop and holler and read the Psalm, but he never really said, hey, if your child is seeing something in bed at night and they're afraid, walk in the bedroom and read Psalms 23. It was just like, oh, let me hoop and holler and tell you you're going to get a car, you're going to get something, but they didn't explain how to use it.
Right.
And most people still don't know how to use it.
Exactly. I'll go into that too. 406 area code, you're on the air with Dark Waters.
Hi, Joe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is this Kat?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. Congrats on the new show format. I'm very happy for you, and I know great things will happen for you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm sure you got something to chime in on this conversation, though.
Yeah, I wanted to say hello to Dark Waters. I always enjoy when you're on any show. Absolutely love everything you share. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kat.
I wanted to share a scary story I've never shared on the air of when I went to the Grand Canyon camping.
Okay.
And this was back 2012, and drove a real long way, through the Navajo reservation, and went through the one side of the Grand Canyon, stopped a lot of different places, the South Rim, and it was real hot that day, and wasn't feeling too good, but just kept, going to all the places, pushing myself. And I was with a friend, and we finally made it to one of the really big campsites at the South Rim, and got a campsite and put up our tents. We each had our own tent, and it was getting kind of towards sunset, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to, go to the restroom, brush my teeth and all that stuff. And went by myself, and I didn't think about it. But, most campsites I've ever been to, it's just one loop. If there's a bathroom, it's got like one round loop, and that's it, right? That's what most campgrounds. Well, this one, I didn't know it when I was there. This one had like a double pathway. Actually, it had two pathways when you come out of the bathroom, but I didn't notice it.
Okay.
When I came out. And so I went the wrong way, and I didn't know it. And I'm going down, and it's getting dark now. And I'm going down this one other loop, but I did not know it was on the other wrong loop. And I'm thinking, I'm going too far. This shouldn't be right. And then I turn around and I look to where I thought I came back from, and the bathroom looked really, really far away. And you know when on a hot summer day or something and the heat comes off of a road?
It makes everything look crazy.
It's kind of like waves of, I don't know how you describe that, the kind of weird wiggly heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was the whole, it wasn't off the ground. It was like everywhere, even up to as far as I could see the tree line. I mean, it was like that, and it was like another gateway or something. And I went, oh man, am I that far away from the bathroom? I thought, okay, this is not right. So then I thought, well, just stay on the loop you're on, and you'll wing on back, you know. So I'm going, and it's getting dark and deeper, and there's just people, it was huge, and I just thought, oh man, I'm like really lost, and my heart's pumping and stuff. But I got all my bathroom gear with me and everything, and then I started asking people, do you know where this is? And like in some of these national parks, like everybody speaks different languages. They don't not everybody speaks English, you know. So they're like, oh, sorry, you could tell they couldn't talk. It's like, oh man, I'm in trouble. So then I just kept going, and every time I asked people, they're like, everybody was tired, and they didn't like really want to help you because they're tired too, and you're out in the middle of nowhere and stuff. And I started to feel like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Like, can you help me?
You're headed down this path. It looks weird. No one's helping you. You don't know where you're going. Did you say it was dark? It wasn't dark, right?
Yeah,
by
this
dark.
point
Okay.
it was dark.
So
it
what
was
happened?
dark, and well, then I just kept asking people, and they'd say, "Oh, just keep going here, keep going there." So I was going. Finally, I said, I met up with these one people, and I said, "Do you know where the road is?" Because I just figured, okay, I'll just go back to the road. And someone goes, "Oh, yeah, I think it's over this way." So I'm walking, and I finally get to a road, and there's a bunch of people with flashlights. And luckily I remembered the name of the loop, because they name loops, whatever they're going to call them, right?
Right.
And luckily I knew that name, and I said, do you know where this loop is? And these people had a flashlight, and they're like, yeah, I think it's over here. And they flashed it up on a sign, and thank God it was the one. But when I got up on the right loop, I was like 100 campsites away from my campsite, and I had to hike all the way back. And then when I got there, to make matters worse, my friend was gone. I said, oh man, I was like ready to have a heart attack. And I just, all right, well, you're okay, you're at your campsite. My friend finally come back, and my friend's like, where were you? And I was like, man, I got lost. It was really, really bad. And then I had to sleep, in a tent that night by myself. But when you're talking about prayers and everything, that's absolutely true, because I think that's really what saved me. But the weirdest thing, and I still think about this today, is like, you hear stories about people missing in parks, and I wonder about that thing I saw. If it was a Stargate or what. Do you know anything about that, Dark Water?
So you think you saw a portal or something, maybe, and you got lost?
Yeah. Like
okay, because I was trying to figure out where's the climax here, but that's what it is. It got you lost. I think.
Is.
Okay. You ever heard anything like that, Dark?
Yeah, I've heard of people seeing portals. I actually talked to one guy who said he tried to enter into a portal here locally in a park. He was walking around the park exercising. It's one of the dog parks uptown, about 3 blocks off Chapatulas. And he said the strangest thing was when you get to that park in the middle of the day, there's, at least 20, 30 people playing with their dogs and messing around and all the rest of this. And he said nobody was in the park. And he's like, everyday people in the park. He said, so he goes in through the gate. He's walking through the area where people normally have their dogs. And he starts to see, similar to what Kat just described, this shimmering kind of reflection. He said it was like the image that he was looking at. He said it was like, it was not light, it was like water is the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he's like,
exactly.
Yeah, he said it's not. He said it was like, how light reflects into your eyes, and you have a solid image. He said it was like it was watery, and he said something told him to go into it and just keep walking. And he said he got right up to it, and as he tried to step into it, something pushed him back, physically pushed him back to he fell on the ground. And when he got up and wiped himself off and looked at it again, it was gone. And I was like, wow, bro, that's pretty freaky. And he wasn't lying. He's not the attention seeking type. And the way that conversation happened, it was extremely casual. It wasn't like, hey, I'm Dark Waters, tell me your scary story. It was we sitting around smoking cigars, I'm drinking cognac, hanging out, blah, 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 blah. And we just started talking about weird stuff that happened to us. And I'm telling him, man, I had weird stuff happen to me all my life. And he's like, man, you're not going to believe this. And this happened right around the corner from here. And I'm like, what? And so it wasn't, it wasn't like he was trying to impress me. He didn't even know who the hell I was. I'm just out mingling. So, yeah, it's a great story. And I understand exactly what she's talking about. And I don't know if you actually went through a portal or if you just, I can't explain how the dynamics of how it all played out, but I do believe you saw something.
Yeah. Well,
that's what that's what it was like. It was like water. But I just wonder if there's something more to it. Like, this is how some people get lost in those parts. It's like something draws you to it to get lost, and then whatever happens to people. I mean, luckily I was praying and asking people to find, like I said, I felt like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, can you help me? Can you help me? I wasn't afraid to ask, but I wonder about some people, if there's nobody around, is that how they go missing, through these portal gates or something? I don't know. It was really weird.
Well, that's a pretty good story, Kat. Thanks for calling and letting us know about it. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I wonder if that has anything to do, like you take a lot of calls about these things. Everybody's talking here lately, especially about the missing 411 stuff. And, you got people saying, oh, it's just natural causes or natural things. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of missing people out there.
Nah, there's a whole hell of a lot of missing people out there. I don't think that's anything natural. I think it's a combination of, this is my personal belief, and I'm not professing to be an expert on missing people. I believe it's a combination of things. I think some of the people are being abducted by other individuals, period, hands down, other human beings. But also, there clearly is something nefarious in the woods in our national parks. Whether it's a Sasquatch or a dog man has yet to be discovered. Maybe David actually knows more than he's leading on, and he's decided that, okay, I'm telling you enough to bring awareness to it, and I'm going to leave it alone at that. I kind of find it hard to believe that he would do all that research, and then he doesn't draw a conclusion, which typically he doesn't put out a full-fledged conclusion on what he think happened. So I think he may know a little bit more, but for his safety or for whatever reason, he's not putting it out there. And I don't hold that against the man at all, because some of the things we discuss are extremely dangerous. I know that firsthand. So something clearly is going on out there. Could it be a portal? Absolutely. Could it be freaking aliens? That's possible as well. It could be a number of things that are going wrong for people out in the woods. I personally don't play around in the woods. I won't go in the woods because I just don't feel I need to. Now there's people who love it, and there's plenty of people go in the woods and never have anything go wrong. So some of it's probably the luck of the draw. Some of it's probably where you actually go and what you actually encounter. Like, there's a guy in Dallas that I talked to who had a horrific Bigfoot encounter. And I mean, this was horrific. I was like, bro, we need to turn this into a short movie. This is crazy what happened to him. And he does these Ironman competition, right? The little competition where you run 10 miles, then you bike 15 miles, then you swim. Like, he's crazy. Like, homie is really crazy. I'm like, dude, why would you even do all that? He's like, man, I just love exercising and I love competing. So him and his best friend had scheduled this hike through the woods. I can't even remember the name of the national park. I did the story, but it was a national park that they had scheduled a hike to go into. And they were supposed to go in 5 miles, camp, and then come back out the next day. Well, his friend's wife was pregnant. She goes into labor the morning that they were supposed to go hiking. And instead of him saying, okay, I'm going to chill out and wait and go in the hospital, he decides he still wants to go hiking. And he goes out into the woods. He gets a mile in and everything's cool. 2 miles in, everything's cool. 3 miles in, everything's cool. He gets to this steep incline that he's got to climb up. And it had a rock face that had these kind of sharp rocks. I think he said it was like these shale rocks I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was these sharp, flat rocks that would break off. And anybody who's been out in the woods and knows anything about rock structures, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And he starts to climb up the face of it and not really having a problem, but he gets to a point where his ankle gets stuck in between. His foot slips and his ankle gets stuck in between too. And when he goes to try and maneuver to pull his ankle out, he slips just a little bit and sprains his ankle, right? But he's 4.5 miles into the woods now, and he's on top of this rock face. And so now he's sitting there saying, well, he got his foot out and he's saying, well, I can't walk back. There's no way I'm gonna walk back where I came from. But he has his satellite phone and the whole nine. And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna call my friend. I'm gonna get him to come get me. I'll just, camp for the night. So he starts a fire, and he really struggles to get all the wood he needs to start his fire. He sets up his tent, which his tent is really not set up extremely good because he's on top of this rock face. The ground is dirt, but rock right directly under it. So he's set up, but he's not set up the way he wants to be. And as he's getting his fire started, he said that's when he first realized that he wasn't alone. And I was like, well, what do you mean you weren't alone? He said, man, when I got my fire started, he said, man, that's when I first started hearing things that are not normal in the woods. And I'm like, well, bro, you really have to educate me because I'm not a woodsman. And I'll admit that to you. What's not normal in the woods? He was like, well, okay. He said, it's normal to hear small animals moving around in the woods. He said, that's fine. He said, and they have a certain sound that they make. He said, but to hear what sounds like another human being walking in the woods and not making their presence known is a whole nother story. And I'm like, yeah, I can see how that would freak you out. And he was like, no, imagine for a fact that the area that you walked in, there were a number of down tree branches and tree limbs, some of them small, some of them big, but you hear them breaking and crunching. And he's like, bro, the size of these things for them to break and crunch, it's either a human being my size or heavier is going to crunch those and break them. He's like, if it was a deer running through the woods, deer's not going to just break it.
No.
He's like, no. He's like, this is someone. And then he said, he was like, James, then it started intentionally breaking stuff. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, like intentionally. He said the darker it got, the more aggressive the breaking and just crackling and walking around and pacing around. Then he said about 8 o'clock that night, he said he had enough. He had to get on the phone and call his friend at the hospital. He said, because, man, I started to hear the breathing. He said, I started to hear what sounded like more than one person walking around me.
And he's by himself the whole time doing this.
By himself with a sprained ankle.
Oh,
and he's like, bro. He said, man, I called my friend. He said, I had a weapon on me. He said, but it wasn't anything major. I was like, what kind? He was like, it was just a small 22 handgun. He said, it wasn't nothing big. It ain't going to shoot nothing and kill nothing. He's like, because we were supposed to go in. I was supposed to go in and come back out. And I was like, well, bro, typically how far in the woods could you go in a day? He said, man, I can go 6-7 miles into the woods and back out with no problem. He said, it's no big deal. He said, I can run through the woods if I needed to. He's like, but in this case, I couldn't do anything. So he calls his friend. He tells his friend at the hospital, listen, man, I sprung my ankle. I'm going to need you to get somebody out here to get me. And his friend's like, well, what are you, are you all right? What are you doing? He's like, nah, I'm in a tent, but I really don't feel like I'm alone. And so he's trying to relate to his friend what happened or what's happening, but his friend's not catching on to it. He's like, bro, I think something's out here with me. I can't tell. He's like, who's out there with you? He's like, no, something's out here with me, not someone, something. And his friend, it's just not clicking to his homeboy. And so needless to say, they get off the phone. His friend calls and emergency services. I forgot. What do you call them in the woods that go out and get people, the rangers, to go out and
rangers or whatever.
Park rangers. Calls the park rangers to go out and find. They tell them, look, it's in the middle of the night. We ain't going to find them right now. In the morning, we'll go out with a helicopter and we'll look for them. So he has to survive that night. And that entire night, he said, man, it was so much crazy stuff going on to where like he was laying down on the ground in a tent. And when the fire finally went out, which he didn't want the fire to go out, but the wood burned up and there was no way for him to get any more wood because he couldn't really move. He said the tent started to move in like somebody was pressing it with their finger. And he was like, but the craziest thing was he didn't hear anybody walk up to the tent, but it just started like someone just pressed it in. And he said they were pressing on one side, pressing on the other side. He was like, but bro, I couldn't hear any footsteps. And he kept on reiterating. He said, man, you got to understand the type of ground that I was on. He said it was like, it was shell is what he was saying.
Yeah.
And gray, thin, flat, pretty much rock that would break if you walked up the edges. Like on the edges, it would crack and crumble and fall over. And so he's like, bro, there's no way a person could get up there and get that close to me without hearing their footprint. And as he relived the story, man, you could like hear every bit of terror in this man's voice. I mean, he was afraid.
Lived through the night through it though, huh? You know, I wonder why. Yeah. You know, that pressing in on the tent thing is something I've heard quite a bit, actually, from stories in Mount Shasta. A lot of people think it's Bigfoot, but you really don't know. I mean, you don't know. But that's creepy, man. That's incredible.
In his mind, it was Bigfoot. And then here's the weird thing. I said, well, what did you smell? Because, I'm trying to figure out if it's Bigfoot or not. And he said, well, man, it wasn't no really, really stinky smell or anything like that. He said it smelled like animal, but he said it didn't smell like, nothing extremely stinky or nasty or rotten. And I'm like, well, how was the breathing that you was hearing? He was like, it was heavy. He's like, it was Darth Vader level heavy ×2. Like he said, that's what I was hearing. And I was like, okay. And the next morning they found him and got him out of there. But he won't go in that area again. Under no circumstances will he go into that area. He still does his competitions. He's fine with running through the woods on competitions because there's a whole bunch of people with him. But if you were to say, hey, bro, let's go camping. He's like, hell no, I'm not going camping. I'm not going out in the woods. He's not doing it.
I don't
know that it was necessarily a Bigfoot. I believe it was. I just don't understand some of the behaviors. But again, I don't have one in my closet locked up, and chained up, so I can't explain all the behaviors. All I can do is tell you the story, and we can all try and figure out what was going on. But he was really distraught behind what happened to him, and I would be too. I mean, honestly, I really would be. But I wouldn't be in a situation to get in to be in that kind of trouble. So honestly, I wouldn't be because I'm not going out in the woods.
We're gonna take a quick break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Dark Waters. This is Lighting the Void live on the Fringe FM. Stick around.
HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Hi folks, CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. There's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
Select Joe Roop at checkout at AncientLifeOil.com.
We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, the Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm. Call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, visitation at the UFO conference. On sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on the Fringe FM. Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Duval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Sheik, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at getthetea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at getthetea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at getthetea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. Getthetea.com.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass as you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
That is Bundy, one of our new artists. You can go check him out. Bundy, guy's an awesome guitarist. This is Lighting the Void. I'm here with Dark Waters. The website is iamdarkwaters.com. There's a 24/7 stream there. You can get us premium content. I believe it's very affordable. What is it like? It's less than $10 a month, isn't it?
$4.99 a month.
$4.99 a month, and you get the best stories uncut. And it's all professionally made. It's some great stuff. But I have noticed here lately that, as we were talking earlier, Dark, about this whole, religious thing where everything goes back to scripture and stuff. It does seem like that there's something to that. I don't know what it is, but when I heard you did the Lion Men of Judah one, that one really made a lot of sense to me. And I just, I don't go out in the woods, and I don't do that stuff. Ever since I talked to you, I don't even go in the woods anymore. And I used to go in the woods all the time when I was a kid, and now I just don't. I'll go up to the edge of the woods, and that's about it. I don't even chase the cat when he's lost and goes out in the woods. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think we're getting close to, well, I guess what the scripture would call end times?
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're getting right up on the edge of it. I really think we are, but I don't know. I mean, I think that God can give us a reprieve from it, but it looks like it. I mean, when you really look at what's going on, blood rain in Russia, the ring of fire firing off again, volcanoes erupting all over the planet. We're getting ready to go into another ice age where, there's people who were talking about global warming that were trying to get, global warming tax credits. But, everything that's on the planet is based on the sun. and we're going into a solar minimum, which means that our planet is going to get extremely cold, which is going to force people to migrate over the next 20, 30 years into different areas. There's just a lot of change coming down the pipeline. Whether it's going to be the end, I'm not sure, but there's definitely some turmoil coming down the pipeline, which is a positive and a negative thing. I mean, it's an opportunity for people to reassess what's important in life, but also it's very, very frightening. I find it to be scary.
You know a little bit about the hoodoo thing. I've been trying to get a magician that's pretty prevalent on YouTube. His name's Frater Xavier, and he talks about this ritual he does called an uncrossing ritual. And I won't go into it, but it's more of a protection ritual that he does. And when he steps into the bath, he reads Psalms.
Psalms 23.
Yeah, and he reads it over and over again. And I'm thinking, all right, okay, so there's something to this. I've been caught up in the astral realm and had a bad experience. And, you know, you hear all these people that have these sleep paralysis things, and the only thing that works is using the name of Jesus or something. Even I've had atheists that tell me that they cast about in desperation, kind of like in that movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, when things like that happen. So I think it's worth looking into. You know, even if you're not religious, I would say it's definitely worth looking into, because I really think there's something going on.
No, I think there's a lot going on. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm not here to convert anybody to anything. All I can do is share my experiences with people. But I will tell you this, just a personal story about, again, me being extremely vulnerable. Towards the end of this past school semester, my sons were really, really struggling to stay focused. You know, one's 14, one's 13. They both play basketball. They both got girlfriends. And I'm sitting there saying, guys, your priorities are all wrong. You want to play Fortnite. You want to do this. You want to do that. And they know it. They're sitting there saying, yeah, Dad, you know, you're right. We're messing up. We're messing up. And I said, look, here's what I want you to do. I said, take this piece of paper. No, actually, I told them, I said, take this marker. And I said, write Psalms. I forgot the number of it on this candle. It was just a blank white candle in glass. I said, write the Psalms on it on the back of the candle. Just, you know, say, ask God to help you focus, to stay focused, to get through this semester. And I said, what we'll do is we'll start the next semester with prayer. Going to the next school semester, we'll focus and we'll pray for a very successful, you know, school year, which we did that the prior year. We didn't do it this particular year, which we had a little bit of turmoil, which I take full fault for that and blame for that as a father. Well, they do it, and immediately, bro, 24 hours later, they locked in. And when I say locked in, come home, drop the school bag, grab a snack, sit down, do all the homework. Then it's like, okay, bro, what do you need to do? You need help studying? Well, I need help with this math problem. Right. I need help with this. By, you know, they get home at 4 o'clock. By 7:30, everything is done. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to play video games. Nope. They're sitting there reading a book in the bed.
Amazing.
I'm like, y'all don't want to play your game? And they're like, nah, we'll play it when it's done. Right now, we need to handle our business. Right. So it changes things, you know, and it changes your life in ways that are very powerful. So I'll just tell you, that's what I've experienced if you're listening. So you can draw from that whatever you want.
Fortnite is a problem with my kid, too, for sure. 276 area code. You're on the air with Dark Waters. Who are we speaking with?
Hey, this is Sean from Virginia. Hey, Dark.
Hey, Sean.
I talked to you last night.
What's up, Sean? What's happening, baby?
Hey. Not much. I thought I'd call in and tell you a story I haven't told you, Dark.
Uh-oh. Go for it, because you got some stories, man.
All right. So, anyway, I used to be a respiratory therapist many moons ago. And one night I just walked in, and my shift had started about 7 p.m. And it was taking shift handoff report. And code was called, meaning that there was somebody that was in need of emergent care like CPR or whatnot. And it was called in the ICU. So here I go running right at the, didn't even finish report. Run into this room in ICU, and there's this little lady that would have been flatlined, meaning she was more or less just dead. So we, as a respiratory therapist, I take care of all of the breathing and whatnot with this patient, and done an ambu bag with the patient. And we did some CPR on her, and she came back. Well, during the course of this whole thing, I've never seen her before in my entire life. So she was definitely not awake, and she, for whatever reason, we did not intubate her, meaning we put a tube down her throat to secure her airway. But she was stable throughout the night, but she never regained consciousness during my entire shift. Well, the next day I come in, and I had to do, with people that have heart attacks and, go asystole, meaning they don't have any heart rate, whatever. We do EKGs on them, serial EKGs, meaning every so often we do EKGs, see if there's any changes in the rhythm or whatnot, see how they're recovering.
Right.
So shift change starts, or my new shift comes on. It's time to do an EKG on this lady. So walk in, and she's awake, and I introduced myself and started to tell her what I was about ready to do. And she said, "You were there last night." And I was like, "Yeah, I was here last night." She said, "You were had this mask on my face helping me to breathe," and I was like, "What?"
And she must have had. I think she. Do you think she had an out of body experience?
Well, I'm about ready to tell you.
Okay, my bad. I got excited when you said that.
That's all right, man. That's all right. So anyway, she said, "Yeah, you were," and I said, "Okay." And then she started pointing at everybody that was in ICU, all the nursing. And said, "This person did this, and this person did this, and this person was taking notes," and I was like, "Holy cow! What in the world is going on here?" And then she said there was another lady that was here that was doing CPR on me, but she wasn't here. She's not here tonight. I was like, "Well, yeah, you're right, but how in the world do you know this?" She said, "I was floating over the top of the bed watching you guys." And I was like, "Holy cow!" So all of a sudden here I am, tripping, and I've got goosebumps the size of eggs on the back of my neck and arms and stuff. And then she said, "He's coming for me. I only have a few lemon malentine, something to that nature." And I said, "Okay." So for the following 2 or 3 days after she told me this crazy story, she would see certain people, and then as soon as she told whoever it was she was visiting with, whatever her piece was with them, she would refuse to see them. And then it got to the point where she saw everybody, but at the end of this, seeing these people, she'd always say, "He's coming for me in a little bit," and then that would be the end of her talking to him. Jesus.
Okay, all right.
That's who she was referring to. So at the end of her seeing everybody that she wanted to see, she would only allow certain people in. And on the final day that she saw the last person, she said, "I'm ready to go." And then she passed away a few hours later.
Whoa. So she had an out-of-body experience, and she knew Jesus was coming.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, she apparently met the fellow, met Jesus. So, yeah.
Well, does this happen quite a bit, as in your field, or is this like a rare thing?
I've been a respiratory therapist for 17 years, and people have told me 1, 2, 3 out-of-body experiences. One was rather dramatic, which Dark knows that one. There's another one I hadn't told him either, but the other one was rather dramatic and
gotcha.
Demonic and all this other stuff going on. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Sean. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. I got tons of other stories, but I guess I'll let you leave.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Good night, brother.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Well, you got I guess that's one of your fans there. I forgot to mention too, Dark, that I think we need to tell. Is it cool if we tell people how to call you if they have their own stories? Or have you got to that point where you don't want to dish it out?
Yeah, people can call me. The number is 504-729-78. Wait, what is the number? 291. Yeah, 729-7870. I thought I changed the number. 504-729-7870. call me anytime you want.
Well, that's just that just confirms to me. I know Dr. Kolbaba I've had on this show is a doctor, and he's talked about a lot of people that would come out of their body and see things in that realm. But you know what freaks me out is, and I don't know if you've had anybody tell you these stories, but Thomas Campbell has verified this. Robert Monroe, the Monroe Institute, is people that get trapped. Not only are they trapped in the other realm, but they take their addictions with them. That's pretty crazy, right?
That is crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. So you're trapped and you take your addictions with you?
Yeah, like
that's insane.
An alcoholic would, that gets trapped here, like these guys would roll up on him in the astral realm and they would be trying to get a drink. They'd be at a bar, not really knowing they're dead, trying to get a drink. Or a sex addict, you know what they'd be doing. Or someone that smokes cigarettes is constantly, it's just like that movie Ghost. I say that all the time, but when you read the books and everything, people ask about purgatory. It does seem like there's this realm, some type of etheric realm that you can get lost in or trapped in.
Yeah, I believe that's possible, and I believe so because there are angels that are assigned to make sure you pass from one realm to the other. Now, why they would be slipping and they pimping and not doing their job, I don't know, but they're assigned to do that. I don't know. I don't know why that would happen. I've spoken to people who are able to that. Now that's scary when someone's able to astral project and like look at you while they're talking to you and on the phone and tell you stuff about yourself. And it's weird because I was talking to one gentleman and the conversation was going pretty smooth. And he was talking about he would astral project and every now and then he would run into some real negative entities. And he would either fight him off or he would flee. He said typically he would flee because he's in their realm and they're pretty powerful. So he would go in the opposite direction. And I'm like, I'm not telling the guy I don't believe him, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess he could tell by my tone. I'm like, whatever, bro. And so he said, oh, you don't believe me. And so I said, no, I'm not saying I don't believe you. And this dude goes quiet. And I'm like, hello. But the phone is still like, the numbers are, the minutes are still counting on the phone. So I'm thinking, well, maybe he clicked over or something and he'll come back. So I literally put the phone down, go in the kitchen and get a bottle of water. I come back and I sit down. And I'm like, hello. And he was like, yeah, I just left your house. And I'm like, you ain't leave my house, bro. He's like, nah, I just left your house. And he starts describing stuff. He says, you have 2 computer monitors. He said, the right one is on, the left one is off. The left one is actually a TV. He says, above those monitors are your soundboards on the wall. He says, in front of you is a little Donald Trump statue with a middle finger up. He said, and he was like, behind Donald Trump is a candle that's lit. And he's like, I can't tell the writing on the candle. He said, but it's handwritten. And then he said, to your left of you, where you're sitting, is your altar. He said, your Bible is open in Psalms 23. It's elevated on a 45. This dude tells me stuff that he's like, there's no way this man knows this. He's like, it's elevated on a 45-degree angle. You intentionally put it on a 45-degree angle. And he goes into all kinds of stuff about the room I'm in. And I'm like, whoa, bro. Whoa. Oh. And he was like, you have a lot of, and this scared me. He says, you have a lot of entities around you. He said, a lot of light entities that surround you. He said, but there are some dark ones that every now and then get through them. But the dark one is actually scared of you, but it tries to scare you. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, but it's actually scared of you. But it's there to try and to make sure that you don't get as powerful as you're supposed to be. And then he says, that's all I saw. And I was like, whoa. I was like, bro, if I ever have a problem with my girlfriend, I'm going to send you to spy on her. And he just bust out laughing. He was like, dude, you're crazy. And I was like, that's, and when I tell you, he described it to everything he described, it at that point in time was 100% accurate. My friend had just gave me this little Donald Trump statue, a collectible. And he was like, bro, I know you've been in real estate and you love Donald Trump from real estate. I bought you this. And I had just written a candle. I was burning a candle to tell God, thank you for blessing me. And I had just written on it, just my way of saying thanks. And I was like, God, this is just my way of saying thank you. And to remind me of you every time I sit here to do work. My Bible is currently elevated at 45 degrees. It is currently open to Psalms 23 on my altar with incense burning. And I mean, he described it to the T. And I was like, whoa. Now, I don't know anything about the process of doing that or how he does it. I don't know if but he said he astral projects. I thought astral projection, you had to go to sleep or something to do it.
Well, there's people that can meditate and do it. I've done it using William Buellman's techniques, and it's been a while. But those shadow beings that he's talking about, they're real, man. I don't care who's listening and don't believe me. Most radio hosts won't go on the record and say that, but they're real. I don't know if they're there to scare you or whatever, but I've seen them. I've seen a couple of them, actually. But the first thing I would have told that guy, Dark, is, yeah, that's really cool, but don't do that. Don't come in my house no more. That's pretty crazy, man. Because if they can do that, and this is something Robert Monroe talked about quite a bit, is, if they can do that, think about it. What if the government knows about this? Imagine how crazy it would be if there's this realm that many people can just fly around in and just come in your house and, peek at you, do whatever they want to do. I don't know.
Yeah, that's freaky, but, I guess he feel like he needed to prove the point. He proved it to me, bro.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
This is Preston Dennett from PrestonDennett.weebly.com, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Mary Ellen Popick of the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit. Listen on the Fringe FM every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk all things mind, body, and spirit. You'll learn things from the esoteric to modern-day health, as well as hear from incredible special guests. There will be something for everyone each week, so don't miss it. That's every Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the Fringe FM. See you there.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hi, this is Ryan Gable, host of the Secret Teachings radio show. If you are interested in ancient knowledge and hidden mysteries, as well as a unique and balanced perspective on conspiracies, symbols, and the occult, then join me every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Fringe FM.
Shipping and processing, return postage extra, auto ship and other terms apply. Ladies, here's a number that could really scare you. It scares me. 46. That's 46 million women who suffer from hair loss. That's more than 1 in 3 of us. If your hair is shedding, breaking, thinning, even falling out, you need to do something about it now because it will get worse. Some of the hair you lose will never grow back, so you can't afford to wait any longer. Here's the good news. Keranique, the #1 women's hair regrowth system in America and bestseller at Ulta stores nationwide that's clinically proven to thicken, strengthen, and repair hair, is letting 1 million women try Keranique risk-free through this special radio offer. Just dial *243 on your mobile phone to try Keranique risk-free for a full 30 days. You don't have to accept hair loss. You can take control to reverse hair loss and grow back your hair. Just dial *243 right now to start regrowing the thicker, fuller hair you love. Dial *243 to try Keranique for yourself risk-free. Hurry, this offer will not last long. Dial * and the number 243. Dial *.
My name is David. I suffered from MS or multiple sclerosis symptoms since 1986. For years, doctors tried to help, but didn't give me any real hope. I tried almost everything. I was afraid this was my future, but I did not give up hope. 8 years ago, a healthcare worker told me about Regenistem. I called Regenistem. Regenistem explained how stem cells worked. No promises, just a simple explanation of the science. They treated me with respect and understood my journey. For the first time, I felt hope. Now I can jog and snow ski once again. It's been amazing. I have been symptom-free of multiple sclerosis for 8 years. I have learned that stem cell therapy has a broad range of medical therapy from COPD to chronic pain and diabetic neuropathy. It's an amazing therapy. If you want to talk about your chronic pain or your chronic symptoms, call Regenistem today.
Call 305-224-1858. That's 305-224-1858. 305-224-1858.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy. Bugs. I hate bugs. Our home is clean, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. The ingredients in Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. So Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com and Ace Hardware.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, guess what? TalkStream Live has just released a new paranormal app exclusively for the paranormal community called Paranormal Radio. Paranormal Radio has a great selection of streaming talk shows dealing with UFOs, the supernatural, sacred geometry, NDEs, and much more, including a network highly recommended, The Fringe FM. You can download Paranormal Radio right now from Google Play and the iTunes App Store.
Paranormal. Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal.
The U.S. military holds the ability to time travel.
Jeremy Scott asks the questions that we're all dying to know.
Wow, that's a remarkable question.
Watch your step. Hide under your blankets.
The show that is going to make you think.
Prepare yourself for what you're about to hear.
This transmission is coming to
you. You're riding into the Paranormal.
Live Saturday nights at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM. Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335, 1-800-588-0335. You know, I just realized this week that it's Friday the 13th this week. It's kind of fitting. We're talking to Dark Waters here from IamDarkWaters.com, the king of horror, one of the best narrators in the business. But speaking of dates, you better take advantage of it. If you got a 7-Eleven around your house, naturally every year on 7-Eleven, you get a free slushie. So I don't know where it is where you're at, but it's past midnight here. But if you're on the West Coast, hop on down and go get you a free slushie. I'm not trying to promote 7-Eleven, but if I had one here, I would do it. Just a little quick info tip there for you. Pretty freaky stuff we've talked about so far, Dark. I know the astral realm thing is real, and that's one of the things that I pay close attention to is the astral realm, out-of-body experiences, and demonic activity. And I guess I was trying to ask you earlier, and I'll ask it in a more blunt fashion. Has demonic activity picked up? Do you think? Is it higher than it used to be? Based on...
Oh, yeah, it's definitely higher than it used to be. Based on everything I'm seeing, so from two perspectives. From the number of calls that I'm getting where people are telling me things that are clearly demonic, and they don't even realize that the activity is demonic. For example... One call was a husband talking about his wife and how all of a sudden his wife stopped bathing, how she started behaving strangely, how she started having problems with her mother, who and her mother were best friends. He's like, well, you know, At the same time, man, I don't know, maybe something's going on. And their daughter was the indicator in the situation because their daughter saw a black shadow standing next to her mother as she lay in bed and told her dad about it. And that's he ended up telling me the story.
Right.
He didn't really realize that those are signs of demonic oppression, which is the next, the phase before possession, but those are signs of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting a number of calls that are demonic. And it used to be I would get all these dog man calls, right? And I guess I got tired of dog man. So I was like, whatever, I'm tired of talking about dog man. It's only so much dog man you can talk about. And next thing you know, it was Bigfoot. And after Bigfoot, it's just like whoosh, all kinds of demonic stuff. When I say all kinds of demonic stuff, I mean all kinds of insane demonic stories. Like one of them I just played on YouTube tonight for people to listen to. A gentleman calls me and he was talking about how, and he and I really gelled extremely well because he was talking about in his younger days how he was like doing a lot of street dirt. And he was like, man, I was a real dirty cat. I did a lot of bad stuff. And I'm like, we all make mistakes, And he's like, sound like you did a few things. I said, yeah, I did a few things. I'm not proud of them, but, that's life. As long as you change as a man, it's better. He's like, well, yeah, I was kind of forced to change. And he was like, we used to do home invasions. And I was like, what? Because to me, a home invasion is you're breaking in somebody's house while they're at home. Right. Like that's the worst thing you can do to a family. And typically, you don't break in somebody's house when they're home because something wrong with you, man. You crazy. He's like, no. We wasn't breaking in their houses when they were home. We would watch them. And when they went to work, we would break in the house and steal stuff. These were affluent families. So we knew they had insurance and it wasn't like we was, destroying the family. They might have been a little traumatized, but, they had insurance. It's like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And so he goes into the story where him and his boys have been watching this family for like 2 weeks in a great neighborhood. The dad was out of the house at 6:30, 6:45 every morning, headed to work. The mom out at 7:30, taking the kids to school, going to work. And he watched them and he said they were like clockwork. He was like, bro, people are so predictable, they don't even realize it. And pause this story for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening, please mix up your schedule a little bit so criminal-minded people won't realize how predictable you are. So leave home, just circle back every now and then and open the door and go in and come back out. Leave a little earlier or a little bit later so you're not as predictable because there are people out there watching and they look for your patterns, right? But back to the story. So they go and they break into this house. And the way they get into the house is the front side of the street. There's no driveway on the front side of the house. There's these alleyways behind the houses. So there's one street. There's a house. There's houses, alleyway houses. And you drive down the alleyway, and that's where the garbage is picked up. And you can turn into the wooden fences and pull into your back driveway. So there's no front driveway on the front of the house. There's this on-street parking. So for them, this was the easiest lick they could hit. Pull up to the back side of the house, open a wooden gate, drive in, close the gate behind them. Nobody can see what they were doing. They can go in the house and do whatever they want to do. Just go through the back door. So that's what they do. 3 guys go into these people's houses. This people's house, they go through. The guy that I'm talking to heads upstairs to the bedroom, the master bedroom. And if you imagine for a moment somebody like walking up steps, and he was like, bro, these people had money. He was like, it was clear they had money or something because they had this nice artwork on the wall going up the steps. So imagine yourself walking up the steps and you see these nice pieces of fine art. And he was like, I didn't know to take them because I didn't know what they were. He was like, you can't really sell that stuff. He said, I was looking for like jewelry and things like that. So he gets into the bedroom, starts going through the drawers, going through the wife's little curio set where she holds her jewelry, like her diamond earrings and stuff and bracelets and all that stuff. And he opens her drawer, her panty drawer, and he finds inside that drawer a little black bag, and it has these 3 gold coins in it. And he was like, bro, when I saw them coins, man, I knew on to something because they were made of gold. He's like, so I take the bag and I stuff it in my pocket, and then we get out of there. And I was like, all right. So they ended up heading to a pawn shop. They had a couple of guns. They got a little bit of cash. They got the coins. They got some gold chains. And so he's at the pawn shop with his friends. And again, ladies and gentlemen, there are pawn brokers who buy stolen goods. they're about to sell the coins, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna keep one of them. So he decides to keep one. They end up getting like about $1,000, a little bit over $1,000 for all the stuff. And they kind of head back and sit down and chop it up and talk, and then he goes home. Well, that night he's laying in his bed in his apartment, and he's kind of flicking a coin around, looking at the coin, and he's getting ready to go to sleep, and he puts it down on a little nightstand next to him. And his lamp is on in his room when he puts it down. So he dozes off to sleep. About 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, he wakes up to what he said sounded like somebody like walking fast around his apartment. Like footsteps, like fast footsteps. He's like, they were unnaturally fast, but they were footsteps, clearly footsteps. And he's thinking like a couple of dudes have broken into his house, into his apartment, and now they're trying to rob him. So he gets up and gets his exact words was my chopper, which is an AK-47 for the guys who don't read the hood language. He said, I got up and I got my chopper, man, and I'm headed to the door of the bedroom going into the little living room. And he's like, I have it pointed down on an angle. And he said, standing there was this woman with her back turned to me. She was completely naked, long blonde hair. And he was like, she was skinny though, man. She was like super skinny.
With her back turned to him?
With her back turned to him.
This is a friend of yours that robs people. I mean, I'm not trying to put you in that category. I'm just saying a friend of yours that you talked to.
This is the person that called me to tell me the story. This is
okay. Not your friend. I got it. I'm sorry, man.
Not my friend. No, it's not my friend. No, I do. I mean, admittedly, to be in all honesty, I have friends that's probably worse than him. He's nowhere near the level that some of these guys I know are. But anyway, she's standing there pretty much butt naked with her back turned with this long blonde hair. But he said she was skinny and pale. And I was like, well, what do you mean by skinny? He was like, like a person whose backside like an ironing board, her whole back was flat. She's like, she was skinny, like she was, something was wrong with her.
Oh, that's creepy.
And he was like, bro, I didn't know, maybe one of my boys had sent some chick over or something, or he said it was kind of creepy and scary. So he's like, I told her, look, Chica, you're in the wrong place. You all right? You're high, you're on drugs. What's going on with you? But because as a woman, he's, he points the weapons down. He's not really freaking out. He realizes this a woman. And he said, man, she turned around. And when she turned around, he's like, bro, her nose, like how we have that fleshy part of our nostrils where you can kind of stick your finger in your nose and pick your nose. I know this sounds gross, but the fleshy part that you pick, he said all that was gone and there was a bone there. He said her eyes were this white color, like her, not completely white, like how they describe black-eyed kids with like white eyes, but like the color in her eyes had like this white over them. He said that her face, as far as like her lips were, the flesh around her mouth was rotting away to where like her teeth and her gums were showing. And she says, you came and stole my coins. Where are my coins? And he was like, what? She's like, where are my coins? And so he gets afraid and he starts to raise the gun to shoot at this woman. And he said, bro, and he's Latino, so he talks kind of funny. And the way he's like, bro, she was on me so fast, bro, I didn't know what the hell to do. He's talking really, really fast. He's like, and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, man, how did you react to that? He was like, bro, you don't understand me. She was on me like some kind of wild animal or a cat. And next thing you know, she pushes me and I fly into the wall. And I was like, what do you mean fly into the wall? He's like, bro, I fall back 4 feet into the wall. He's like, it was like Hercules pushing me or something. He said, by the time I got up off the ground and stood back up with my weapon and went to the bedroom, the light in his room was back on. The coin was gone. And he's walking around in his room, looking in the closet, looking for this lady. She's gone. And I'm like, okay, so this wasn't really a woman. He's like, I don't know what it was. I said, well, what did you do? He said, man, I started praying.
They all start praying, don't they?
He was like, bro, I started praying. What I'm going to go do? He was like, whatever this woman was, she wasn't normal and it wasn't natural. He's like, and I'm like, all right. So finish telling me. He's like, yeah. The next day I go his homies. Next day I'll go tell my homies what happened. And they laughing at me like it's a game. He's like, bro, I'm telling them it's not a game. This is what happened. And he said like a week and a half passed and they started planning
I'm losing you.
The next job.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think I'm losing the connection.
No, that's probably my cheesy internet. But anyway, he says like a week and a half passes and they go to do their next job. And then they go back to that pawn shop that they were at to try and sell the guy more stuff. What was that just dropped in my house? It sounded like something like a piece of glass, but there's no glass there. Anyway.
You're talking about stuff, man. You got to be careful with that. You never know what's going to happen, right?
Come up in here if she want to. We got slap upside the head with his Bible. She better leave me alone. But anyway, a week and a half to 2 weeks, and they go do their next job. They go back to that pawn shop with that guy, right? As soon as they walk in, he's like, nope, leave. Get out of here. It's like, well, what, man? We got some stuff on you. He's like, nope, leave. The last time y'all came in here, y'all sold me those coins, and that naked lady came in here and took those coins.
Oh, no.
And it was like, what? She came in here and tore my place up until I gave her those coins. And so he understands what the guy's talking about. Nobody else believed it. So he's like, no, guys, I told y'all this is what happened. He was like, no, I'm not buying nothing from y'all. I'm not selling y'all nothing. Get out of here. I'm not doing no business with y'all no more. I don't know what y'all out there doing. Don't come over here no more. And so the guy I'm talking to, he was like, look, man, after that, I stopped stealing stuff and I started doing roofing work. He said, I got on roofs and I started doing roofing work. It was hot. It was sweaty. He almost fell a couple of times and died off of, roofs with extremely high roofs. But at least I don't have to deal with, crazy paranormal stuff happening because I got bad karma. And he was like, it was just bad karma for me going in and stealing stuff. He said, I've been stealing stuff since I was a kid. And eventually I was going to have something go wrong. And it just so happened to be that this was what went wrong. So crazy stories, man.
I wonder if it was like a servitor or, I'm talking occult stuff here. People make talismans where they put demons and stuff in certain sigils or coins. They look like little, some of them are angelic too, just to be honest with you, but they look like little metal coins. But I mean, those things was in that black bag for a reason. I just wonder, that makes sense to me too, because I don't want to tell the story because I wanted to tell you and see if you would do it. But I've been pushed in the astral realm, but he was pushed in this realm. That's insane, man.
So what you're saying is she probably made a talisman?
Yeah,
it was
right. So you can make talismans and put certain sigils on them that belong to either certain angels or certain demons, or you could get what's called a servitor, and these servitors do your bidding and stuff like that. It gets pretty deep, but most of the time these things are made out of silver, gold if you can get it, bronze, copper. You use certain metals because certain metals have certain influence. It's the whole thing of alchemy and stuff. And then, they keep these talismans put away like that. And I bet you money that bag was covered in some type of silk or some type of chargeable material. I can almost guarantee it.
So he done laid up here and stole somebody's demon coin is what you're telling me. That's probably what he done did.
Probably, yeah. And it could have been a gift offering too, I mean, I don't know don't they in hoodoo, because I don't know much about hoodoo, but don't they offer certain things to spirits, or am I thinking something different?
Yeah, they do make offerings to certain spirits, and more so voodoo than hoodoo, but yeah, they do make offerings to certain spirits.
Dan's right. Never touch anyone's mojo bag. Look, if you're going to steal something or you're pillaging through somebody's, panty drawer, which you shouldn't be doing to begin with, and you see a little velvet black bag, I would stay away from it, or anything like that. But I guess he had his mind on the gold.
The lesson here is don't be breaking in people's houses.
Yeah,
he
don't
wouldn't have been breaking
stuff.
into people's house. He wouldn't have had the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that was his issue. He was just grimy. And you can't be running around doing stuff like that, man. It's something's bound to happen to you one way or the other. But I didn't know. I've kind of heard about those of charms that people would have and things having attachments to them. But someone, you called it a servitor?
Yeah, so like you can get any book of magic is about talismans, right? So you learn about sigils if you study the stuff, and that's the problem. Everybody's learning the stuff right now. And, there's planetary sigils, there's sephirotic sigils, there's astrological sigils, there's demonic sigils, there's angelic sigils, and they'll make talismans and put all these sigils on this coin and make it own, like it's either silver, brass, copper, whatever they got. It has to be some type of alchemical metal, though, in alchemy, and they'll put these sigils on there, and usually it's for protection. However, some dark magicians have done this to use it for their own bidding, I guess. So, like, maybe this person he was messing with was studied a little bit of black magic and had those coins. You know, just think about that for a second. If she planted that coin in somebody's house, that, you know, black magicians are dirty, right? So she could just drop that coin in somebody's house, and guess what's going to happen to them?
Yeah, it's going to wreak all kind of havoc in that person's household, man.
Yeah, and and you got to watch it. So this is happening all over the world right now. It's bigger and more prevalent than it's ever been. And I know people don't believe in it, and I don't care if you do or not. But these people will get whatever they can that's attached to you too, as well. Whether it's a clipping of your hair, a piece of your clothing, something. So just be on the lookout for that too. If you're around practicing occultists, watch them try to take stuff from you. You know, and some creepy stuff, Dark.
Wow.
That's why you don't
insane,
like messing with
bro.
it, and people shouldn't be messing with it. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. I'm not telling you how to live your life or what your spiritual practice is, but these types of things used to be only practiced in the secret places where people understood how powerful it was, and they took oaths not to, you know. And I'm not saying that was right either, but now it's all. I mean, you can pick up a book on it anywhere. Even books with demons' names on them. The whole book's about that one demon, 3,000 pages. Here it is on eBay for $3,000. Take it or leave it. You know, it's not it's crazy, man. It's really scary to think about if you really start studying and thinking about it.
No, that is crazy. That is crazy. But, you know, one of the things that, so that was what fell. Okay. One of the things that, about human nature is that people want power. And I think that at the end of the day, people are doing whatever they can do to achieve that power and get that power and control over someone, something, some place, some situation, because people want power, you know, and that's a part of, that's just a part of human nature. You want to be in control. You want to be powerful. We always want more than what we have. And typically people want to take shortcuts to get there, you know? And I guess that's a spiritual shortcut some people are using. I don't know, but I don't choose to deal with that. I prefer not to deal in that. That seems pretty dangerous. I mean, maybe if it was some kind of angel or name of God, I could put on some kind of sigil. I would do that and keep that in my pocket. But I'm definitely not going to be rolling around with no demon name and sigil in my pocket. It kind of makes me think about that TV show Supernatural, where they would cut blood in there. You know, they would cut their hand and then draw something on the wall and then press it. That kind of stuff. But it's crazy.
What is the deal with Cajun people and brooms around their feet? Agnome from the Spreaker chat wants to know. Brooms around their feet. I don't know what he's talking about. What's he talking about?
I've never heard about that, bro. Brooms around people's feet. You mean jumping brooms or keeping brooms around their feet? Jumping brooms was an old way of marriage during slavery because you couldn't really have a ceremony because you were owned, but brooms around your feet, no, I never heard anything about that.
I know that I don't know if it's hoodoo or voodoo practice. I know they use floor powder a lot, but I don't know anything about that. You could call in if you, Dan was kind of talking about that in the Spreaker chat too. If you want to call in and help us out with what I was trying to explain there, it's 1-800-588-0335. But yeah, this stuff it's just, look, I'm probably the only guy that goes, well, no, I think Heather Wade told everyone that pretty much was public. She said she was a witch. I'll go in public and say, I guess I would consider myself a mystic, or some say a magician, but I do it in like the old school traditional way. I still stay close to my religion with it. And I've never told anybody to do anything or promoted it. But the problem with occult work, and it's a big problem, is you're just dealing with laws of nature and the psyche and the astral realm, and it can work both ways. I know there's a verse in the Bible, Isaiah 45:7. I shouldn't even be quoting Bible verses, but it says, I create the light and the evil. So this whatever we're in, it's got both sides of the coin here. But I mean, I don't know why you would mess with it. Why would you mess with demons when you got a fleet of angels that would help you, or an archangel?
Yeah,
it just don't make sense to me.
It don't. But you know what? I think it all boils down to free will. At the end, I had a friend of mine who really struggles with things. He was like, I don't understand why God would make demons if he's all powerful and all knowing and this and that. I'm like, bro, I know you got all these questions. I'm not the book of answers. You know what I'm saying? I can't answer it for you. All I can tell you is you got a choice what you're going to do. At the end of the day, in order to have a choice, then there's got to be good, there's got to be bad. You got to choose one. You know what I'm saying? You got to choose a side of what you're going to do. And again, I just think that boils down to personal preference, what people are attracted to. I'm not here to judge them, but I speak for me personally that I'm not the guy that's going to be running around kicking it with demons. In fact, I don't want them nowhere near me. I don't want you around me. I don't want you having anything to do with me. And it was crazy because when I was reading that Testament of Solomon, trying to find some kind of dog man thing, even Solomon, mighty king, ended up some kind of demon cut a deal. He cut a deal with a demon. I know his future. I may not know it exactly, but the demon told him take a chain off of him, which had God's name on it, which was binding him, and give him the ring of power that he had. So as soon as he gives him the ring, the demon grows to the size of extremely huge, picks him up and throws him 400 miles into the desert. And now he's got to travel back on foot back to his temple, and the demon impersonates him while he's gone. But it literally threw him into the desert. And there was a whole story about his trek back from the desert to King Solomon's temple and getting where he got to. So I just think that at some point in time, there have been decisions made for individuals, entities to choose a path of light and dark, and they've chosen the dark path, and that there's no reason for you to believe that there's going to be any illumination or anything they're going to do good on your behalf. Now, unless you just want to be dark, then hey, that's what you do. You rock it on the dark side, rock it however you're going to rock it. But if you're a person who's trying to pursue the lighter path, then there's no need to be bothered with that. There's no need to mess with that. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I could think of.
Well, we learned some good here and stuff here in this segment. Don't be robbing people. Don't be going through people's drawers. Don't be messing with stuff in little velvety black bags or anything like that. Be nice to each other. There's weird stuff happening right now for sure. We'll be right back. We're here with Dark Waters from IamDarkWaters.com. Don't go anywhere. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Stay tuned.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
How you doing today, guys? This is Garrett Lee. And this is Randy Warner from the Healers and Hellraisers podcast. A podcast about people. You're going to hear stories from the enlightening to the frightening, told by those who lived it. Listen right here on The Fringe FM.
Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and on The Fringe Free-For-All, right here on The Fringe FM. Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shiftheads.
1-800-588-0335. 1-800-588-0335 is the calling number. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. We're here with Dark Waters. Don't forget, we got chat rooms here, too. We got people hanging out in there. This show is broadcasted on Spreaker, The Fringe FM, a couple other places. But sometimes if you want to ask a question, you can ask it there in chat. But I will say that this conversation has been pretty interesting because a lot of the things that you bring up and the stories that they're telling you and the stories that you're being told is, to me, when I hear them, relates to a lot of the astral experiences that I had in the astral realm. Like, I know this stuff is real. I can't prove it scientifically, Dark. I know that, but I don't care. And that's why I don't judge people that tell me when they have stories with Bigfoot and stuff. I'm skeptical about it. But when I had my experience and I tried to tell people in my neighborhood or my friends that used to be my friends, they thought I was crazy. So I get it. There's some weird stuff going on out there, for sure.
No, I agree with you. And the thing about what we do, every person who's listening to these shows, and they listen to, kind of scary stories, they listen to paranormal shows, you have to find that camaraderie amongst each other, because the average person really doesn't believe in this. It's not that they don't believe, it's just that they don't have the time to research and study it. And unless it smacks them in the face, then it's like, oh, I'm not worried about that. There's, ghosts aren't real, and there's no such thing as dog man. There's no such thing as demons, until it literally walks up to them and smacks spit out of their mouth. Then they will realize that, we truly live in a spiritual realm. Everybody has their traditions, their religious traditions, their spiritual traditions, but it's us who are unique. And in my opinion, it is us who are special, because that other realm reaches out to us in different ways and shapes, and it gives us levels of confirmation that the average person won't get in their lifetime. So for me, it's one thing speaking only for me, it's one thing to be 12 years old and have something like that come for you and get an early confirmation. Then it's another thing to be 42 years old and have something else come, but be strong enough and powerful enough to not be afraid and fight it off. How strong is my faith compared to the average person's faith who's walking down the street? Well, my faith is strong that there's quite hasn't. Now, they may have been tested in another way, and I'm not trying to negate anyone's fate, but all I'm saying is it's a blessing that we are in this realm, in this field. It's a blessing that our eyes are open to these things. So a lot of people kind of put you in a box of being a weirdo, and I just want to push back against that frame for everybody listening and make sure you understand that. No, you're not weird. You just happen to be special. You just happen to be a person who's more aware. You know what I'm saying? Like than the other person.
Right.
And
I'm
in some cases, they're more aware than you. You know
I
what
like
I'm saying?
being weird sometimes, though. 360, sometimes. 360 area code, you're on the air with Dark Waters.
Aloha, Joe. This is Yvonne calling.
Hey, Yvonne.
Hey. I just wanted to share an experience I had.
Okay.
Okay. This was back in the 70s. I got out of the military, moved to Washington, and 3% of the population was meditating. So I said, well, let me go check out what this meditation is about. So I started meditating. And then within a few months, I started having this experience of this presence at my bedside just before falling asleep. It had a man's body, but the head was a boar's head, and it had red eyes.
A boar's head, you said?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
And it scared me, really. I mean, it really scared me. And so immediately I would send it away by using scripture, because I did attend Catholic school, and if you've been there, Catholic school, 8 years, and gone to Mass every day, you kind of like learn the Bible pretty much inside and out. And so I always, just use the quotation, Lord, come to my assistance, make haste to help me. And so this would happen, in the early years, like every 3 months or so, and then it got spaced out to a couple of years before this presence would be again at my bedside. But I would always then send it away through scriptures. Then in 2006, while I mentored with a kumu, which is like a Hawaiian teacher who specializes in one of the arts,
okay,
I shared this experience with him, that, this presence keeps coming. It really frightens me, so I just immediately send it away. So then my kumu, said, Yvonne, you are being visited by Kamapua'a.
Kamapua'a.
And that's one of the...
Should I be not?
Yeah,
I shouldn't be saying
and
that out loud, I guess. Sorry. What is that?
Kamapua'a. But, Kamapua'a is one of the Hawaiian gods. And, he was the lover of Pele. And I looked at him and I said, I thought that was just fairy tale. You know what I mean? But he says, no, many of the gods were human beings. But because of the accomplishment that they did was so extraordinary that they were elevated, to like a god status.
Wow.
So when he explained that to me, then I felt Kamapua'a, and I always thought that was just legend. But he said, no, they were actual people at one time, some of them, So when the being came again, and this was like in 2006, I felt more comfortable. Then I allowed the presence to stay with me.
Is it still with you now?
Like, as the relationship, he is now, because I accepted him, and because of in 2006 too, I was approached and asked by the 2 alien beings, they needed a healer on the other side. Uh-huh. And I think Kamapua'a was like my first entity, I guess, that needed healing. And so, I kind of like, I read up his history and his story type thing, and I told him, you were a real asshole. You know what I mean? Because he was very mean. He was very brutal. Like when he went to war, and the way he, treated the enemy. I mean, he was, really, he didn't just, be a warrior. I mean, he tortured them, and he, gave them horrible deaths. And so through that relationship, he is now one of my protectors.
Interesting. So you have you have the Hawaiian, are you a spiritual, like Hawaiian spiritual person? I don't know the name of it. Sorry.
Well, I was brought up as Catholic, but I grew up in the Hawaiian culture, and of course was subjected to the stories, but I always thought that they were just legends. I didn't realize that, and when I studied then under a Hawaiian kumu, who's a master in Qigong and all that, and began sharing me the Hawaiian cultural, our heritage in that area, then it gave me a real appreciation, that I'm, that besides my Filipino shamanism, but, there's that other part where I grew up in Hawaii, and so, was influenced by that. And so I learned from that, not necessarily all entities are really bad. You know what I mean?
Sure, I can see what you're saying.
But I also, realized I am spared from the experience of feeling of like what other people experience in terms of ghosts or hauntings or the dark shadows or the demons. And my kumu explained to me was that, well, it's because I'm a spiritual person, with what, my base is, and that I carry a very high vibration that they cannot stand my presence.
Well, I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing because I don't know what I would do. If, whatchamacall, if I seen all those things that people are seeing, the dark-eyed children and shadows and being, attacked by demons or anything like that.
Well, you don't sound to me like the type of woman that would be, pilfering through somebody's house and robbing them. So, sometimes when we do things and we get what we deserve, though. You know what I mean?
Well, Well, I guess when I was under study also with much earlier in my development with a spiritual director, Franciscan. And so in actuality, I've been a contemplative from the days from elementary school. So it's kind of like I've been on a spiritual path, not realizing it. And I suspect that's why I have evolved, so to speak, as I have, and I'm spared the dark entity aspects. You know what I mean? Which are very good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Yvonne. That's pretty cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You ever heard anything like that? I don't know much about any of that, Dark. Like the Hawaiian.
No,
I don't know
much about that. I was sitting there amazed at what she was saying. I really was. I don't know much about the Hawaiian gods. And I do believe where she's right is that there are certain people who entities stay away from. I know I've met one guy down here locally that works at a botanical store, and I've witnessed people with, what you call them, I would say attachments come in the store while we were talking, because I would go there early in the morning, partly to do some business with him because I provide some services to him, and then partly just to hold conversations with him about spiritual stuff. And he's definitely psychic because I can walk in the door and he can tell me what's going on with me immediately and tell me what's going to happen later that day. But then also there's something special about him because there's certain people that will come in. Like imagine you're standing at a long counter, right? And inside the counters, there's all kind of herbs and roots, and behind the counters, just so you can understand this place, there's all kinds of oils, like protection oils and Mars oil and Mars oil and Mercury oil and King Solomon, the stuff that's in those kind of stores.
Sure.
And it's just the two of us in the store, and a person walks in and he'll say, James, stay right here. And he'll go down to the other end of the counter like way away from me, and he'll say, "How can I help you?" And the person will follow him down there, and they'll talk for a second. And a person like just looking at him intensely, like crazy. And he's just standing there looking at him. He's like, "There's nothing here for you. I can't do anything for you." "Well, I need to buy this." "No, I can't sell you anything here. Leave." And the person would clearly look frustrated and aggravated, and they would just turn around and walk away. And I saw that about 3 times. And finally, I was there one evening right before he closed. And I said, "Man, can you explain to me what's going on when this happens?" He's like, "Those are people who have either possessions or attachments, and they're trying to buy stuff that I refuse to sell them so they can do something wrong with it." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, I refuse to sell it to them." I said, "Well, how do you know?" He said, "I can feel it on them. I can sense it on them." He's like, "But they leave me alone because they know that I have a special calling on my life. And so they leave me alone." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." And then he told me a story about one person that used to work there that had an encounter with a guy that he says was possessed, but he wasn't at work that morning. And he tried to run the guy out of there because the guy was just acting crazy. And later that evening, when that gentleman was closing up, the guy hit him across the back of the head with a shovel and fractured a part of his skull. So when we start talking about the spiritual realm, entities, like this lady talking about the entity that visited her on the side of the bed, or whether it's a shadow person, clearly there is a realm right next door to the reality that we're in. And there's a lot going on over there that we're just not aware of. And it's probably best that we're not aware of it, because could you imagine if you were walking down the street every day and you saw every little spiritual battle that was going on, every entity that was associated with every building, every person, every location? It would probably be the most frightening thing in the world. You know, imagine walking down the street and looking up at a building, there's a giant snake wrapped around a building because there's something going on in that building that we're not aware of, you know? So,
well, what I've been trying to explain to people, and, you know, I guess I've been called to explain this a little bit, is we're everyone's out there freely messing with symbols and things, and they don't really understand how, this is just my opinion, how it affects the astral realm. So as a magician, what, you know, or Wiccan or whatever, you know, you say a prayer or you use a certain symbol or a certain smell or whatever you're doing to affect your psyche, it goes into that astral realm. And this realm is, if you can imagine, everybody's mind is connected in this place. And in turn, what they try to do is get it to affect this realm. And everybody thinks they've got it down because they read one book or something. You see what I mean? And all kinds of crazy things can happen. Like, for instance, one of the first stories that I ever heard from your radio show was, and I don't remember the whole details about it, but I remember that this mother and child were out picking pecans, right? And they knocked over this thing or whatever that was out in the woods,
and that
big old let something loose.
Hellhound got loose. Yep.
So when you say that, you used to think that the dog man was just a natural, I guess we could say natural, but just a creature from this planet that's hides real well or whatever. Now I guess what you're saying, you're starting to think or realize that it's actually could be coming from somewhere else. Or did I get that wrong?
No, you said it. You said it correctly. Absolutely. I'm starting to be of the mind that there could be more to it than just being a physical creature. And I can honestly say it's a reversal for me, because before I would be like, nah, it's a physical creature, it's a physical being. And the reason why is because people were just telling me like just insane, stupid stuff like, hey, it cloaked. And then I could see it like I saw the Predator. And I was like, what? Wait, what? You know?
Yeah, right. Sounds crazy.
But then people started telling me other stuff that made sense. You know, the feelings, like it was in my bedroom that night on all fours, on twos. I got up. The number one thing that made me started to make me believe that it was there's some entity that may possibly mimic this creature is when people start saying, I prayed and it went away. I'm nose to nose with it. Like, I'll tell you another dog man story, the scariest one that I've heard recently. You know how you lay on your side or your right hand side or your left hand side, and throughout the night you roll around in the bed. I roll around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to my girlfriend, because she puts her knee in my back. But you know how you roll around and you end up on the very, very edge of your bed. I mean, literally, if you teeter in 1 inch in the other direction, you're literally going to fall out and hit yourself on your face. Lady calls me and tells me that's exactly how she's sleeping in the bed with her husband. But the reason why she was sleeping that way is because her husband was sick and he was spread all wide out in the bed. So she had that little section of bed. She was laying on her side, facing her dresser. And she had watched a little TV on her phone, a little YouTube on her phone. She put her phone down, plugged it to the charger, and she was going to bed. She said when she woke up, she was literally nose to nose with what she believed was a dog man. Now, she described the dog man head pretty much the way I've heard the description. It was and you've heard people describe dog man as like a black timber wolf,
right?
But with extremely big head. That's exactly what she described, being right nose to nose with her, pretty much nostril to nostril, looking at her when she woke up. And she said the first thing she did was open her eyes, then she closed them again because she thought she was dreaming. She's trying to wake herself up. She opened them. It was still there. She closed them again. The third time she opened them, the nose moved and the eyes blinked. And she realized, holy crap, I'm not asleep. And I was like, sweetheart, because I'm freaking out. And she just happened to be telling me this story like 11:30 at night, all the lights off in the house. I'm laying on the edge of the bed. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Woman, you're going to scare me half to death in here. And so I said, well, what did you do? She said, I closed my eyes and I started praying. And I was like, well, what did you say? She said, I can't even tell you what I said. She said, I know I was praying. And she said, when she opened her eyes again, it was gone. I was like, okay. Well, maybe you were sleeping, maybe you were half sleep and half woke. She was like, no. I was woke. I was wide awake. I was woke. I'm telling you what happened. So I'm like, okay, cool. She says 3 days later, it happens again. She's laying on her back in the bed, opens her eyes. It's standing there. This time she sees the whole body and she starts to describe things that make sense, like these shoulders that are extremely massive. She describes the claws, which she said were not only sharp, but they were curved, which is definitely another description. She gave the length of the claws, which she said were about 4 inches, and they were curving in. And I was like, okay. And then she went so far as to saying that she could see the dynamic of the fingernail or the claw. I call it a fingernail, but the claw that was on it. And she said how at the tip of it, at the point of it, she could see how thick in diameter it was. And she said it looked, like more like bone than anything. And I was like, wow. Okay. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, this lady's, maybe she's on drugs, but she's got a great description. So then I hit her with the question, well, did your husband ever experience anything? Which, she's in the bed. Every time she said her husband was in the bed, I said, well, did your husband experience anything? And she says that time he did, because I was so afraid that I screamed and he rolled over and turned around and he saw it. I said, well, can I speak to him? I mean, I seized on the moment right there because I'm like, okay, I just want to know. And you got to remember, this is our second or third conversation.
Well, part of your process is trying to figure out if these people are being honest with you too. Right.
Especially in this case, we're talking about something being in your house. Your doors are locked, your windows are locked. So I got to hear the rest of the story. So finally, the husband calls me back, and it's a couple of days. And he's like, well, man, I really don't want to talk about this. And that's the first sign that something happened is, man, I really don't want to talk about this. I'm trying to put it out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, listen, I'm not going to really tell your story without your permission, but I do want to hear your side of the story. He's like, well, if I tell you the story, you might as well tell the story to everybody. And so he says, when she screamed, he jumped up, rolling over from the opposite with his back turned to her, thinking someone had broken into the house. Because, she sleeps closer to the door, the bedroom door, which leads down the hallway to the front door. And he said when she screamed, he figured either she saw someone or someone was in the house. So he literally jumps his body up and rolls over to where he's got his elbow down in the bed and he's pressed up, ready to spring out of the bed to go to get his weapon. And he said, man, what I saw was the midsection of this creature was just a black mass there. And when I looked up, I saw a wolf head. And I was like, what? And he's like, I saw a wolf head. And I was like, okay. So I asked him to describe it. He described the exact same thing she described. And I said, well, what did you guys do? He said, man, I wanted to get out of the bed and get my gun and shoot. She grabbed me and told me to pray with her. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, we prayed together. He said, she told me, close my eyes and pray. And we closed our eyes and prayed. And when we both opened our eyes, it was gone. So those kind of stories are what's making me believe that it's an entity of some type manifesting itself in this manner, or maybe some entity that is this thing, whatever. But those are the stories that are starting to make me believe that. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. I don't think anybody knows, but I think it's worth discussing only for the pure fact that if someone experiences it, they'll know what's worked for other people. And so that's why I discuss it, because even discussing it in that nature opens the door to be criticized, and people are like, oh, Dog Waters lied. He said this. I really don't care. I just want you to have the information and be armed with what you need to defend yourself if you encounter that.
That makes, yeah, wow. Well, I mean, possibly if you think about it too, getting the gun from some of the stories you've told me might not have helped. The prayer probably helped a lot more. Guys, we're on the very last segment of the show. We're going to take our final break here. Don't forget the call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. We're here with Dark Waters from IamDarkWaters.com, the king of horror, king of narration. You got to go check him out. We'll be right back.
Lighting the Void Radio.
The Fringe FM has some of the best shows in paranormal, like Lighting the Void, The Paranormal Code, Into the Paranormal, The Secret Teachings, and so much more.
Yeah, baby!
We're live every night with hours of live original programming. Plus, we air some of the best shows in this genre, and we're not afraid to tell it like it is.
I want the truth!
Check us out at thefringe.fm. Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Ahoy there, Gigi here.
And I'm Cortana, and we're here to take you on a journey through all things paranormal, metaphysical, ufology, and even psychedelic on our show,
Shift Happens, live every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific. That's 9 to 11 Central, right here on The Fringe FM.
And remember, don't feed the Archons, feed ducks instead.
Duck up.
This is Mary Ellen Popick of the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit. Listen on the Fringe FM every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk all things mind, body, and spirit. You'll learn things from the esoteric to modern-day health, as well as hear from incredible special guests. There will be something for everyone each week, so don't miss it. That's every Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the Fringe FM. See you there.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. You know, this whole conversation kind of reminds me of a movie I'm sure you've all watched, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You've seen it before.
Ridiculous superstition, thank you anyway, and I like the smell of my hair treatment. The pleasing odor's half the point. Baptism. You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers. Well, I guess you just might cross the bear.
Pull over, Everett. Let's give that colored boy.
So you remember that movie when he was talking about, he would laugh at him about they were praying and getting baptized and stuff and all that, right? And Dark, and you know, but when he was about to die, or when something was bad about to happen to him, he would pray, and his prayers got answered, you know. And I was trying to get the clip or where the guy says, well, that ain't the tune you was saying back at the ranch when he knew he was about to die, you know. So it's funny, like, I've heard every story under the sun about, except for black-eyed children, but, you know, dogmen, shadow beings, sleep paralysis, all that stuff from every person, no matter what spiritual thing they believe in. And if they use, I guess, you know, whatever scripture they were brought up with, I'm not trying to push anybody on anything, I promise you. I'm just making a notation here that it always seems to work. That's it.
And I mean, you don't have to be apologetic for it. I mean, it's just all you're doing is sharing the experiences that people had. Some people are going to reject it. Some people are going to accept it, and that's their choice. With the God-given free will that they have, man, you can choose to do whatever you want to do. There's consequences for whatever you do, but you can choose to do whatever you want to do. I think our job is just to arm people with the information and then give them that anchor. So at some point in time, there's an anchor when they experience something. They'll say, "Oh, I remember that show with Dark and Joe where they were saying when someone experienced this, they did this." It may be 16 years from now, and that person may think back to this moment and realize, wow, okay, I can do that because these guys were talking about it. And that's what's the beauty. That is what's beautiful about what we do. What we do is that we have that opportunity to create those anchors for people. And that's where the responsibility comes in what we do, is because we are creating anchors, and the job is just to relay the best information. People are smart enough to discern for themselves what to do and what not to do. Fortunately, of course, the world don't want people to think. The world doesn't want you to think that people are smart enough to do that, but they are. We're extremely intelligent, and we have good insight and good foresight and hindsight. So people will make up their own mind what they're going to do, but our job is just to share the information with them. So I think we did a good job tonight sharing information. I really think we did. It's just a matter of
well, I mean, there's documents about it.
Do with it.
The blackvault.com's got documents about encounters and stuff. To me, I don't know that it's real. I'm still skeptical about Bigfoot and Dogman, and I know this sounds crazy, right? But if you said, well, they came from a different realm, well, then for sure I'm going to say that I agree with, which makes no sense, right? So you believe these things can come from a different realm, but you don't believe that they're a natural being. Well, yeah, because I grew up in nature my whole life. I've never seen a Dogman or a Bigfoot or had any signs of it, but I have had some weird spiritual experiences, especially when I was a kid. And I was going to ask you about that, because people tell you stories a lot. Do you find that there are children involved in a lot of these stories? It seems to me like children they see more of this stuff.
Yeah, I find that children always see things in these equations, especially in these stories. The children see things that parents don't see all the time. And one of the biggest hindrances to those children in a lot of these stories, or actually not the children, to the parents, is they don't listen to what the child says. That's one of the biggest problems is their child would be saying something like, "Mommy, I saw something in the bathroom while you were taking a shower." "Oh, baby, it was nothing." "No, I saw something." "Oh, baby, it was nothing." "No, I saw something." The child go tell their father, who actually believes in the paranormal, and he'll pray in their household. There's been people, there was a gentleman who contacted me on Facebook about a month ago, and he contacted me for prayer. That's one of the things that the Dark Waters family does en masse on Facebook is we'll put out a huge prayer request where thousands of people will pray for a particular family. And his thing was his wife was having sleep paralysis and seeing shadows, but he wasn't seeing them. And no matter what he did, he wasn't seeing it, but she was having sleep paralysis. She was seeing shadows around the house. Their child was seeing shadows around the house. But because he was a man that was open to the paranormal and understood it, he was able to have people intercede for him, which was a massive group of people praying for him and his family. But the child was the first person to bring it to everybody's attention. Then a mother started seeing it, and then the mother started having a sleep paralysis. And as you know, once you get real bad sleep paralysis, like you're afraid to go to sleep, like you're literally scared to go to bed at night. So, again, his wife's body was starting to break down. She wasn't sleeping. She was getting bags under her eyes. And he felt powerless. He really did feel powerless. And as a man, you know, our job is to protect our family. You know, that's our number one job, provide and protect. And, you know, the brother was feeling powerless. But if you listen to your children and they tell you they see something, listen to them. You know, don't sit there and brush it off. My sons tell me, "Hey, Dad, I was laying in bed and I heard something tell me take off my St. Michael's chain." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "What did you do?" He was like, "Well, I took it off." I said, "Why the hell you took it off?" It told me
Don't
to.
take it off.
And then I said, "What else did it tell you?" Once I took it off, it told me nobody could protect me. I said, "What did you tell it?" And it was funny. He said, "My dad will." He said he got out of the bed and came and got my bed. And then I made his brother, because they had bunk beds at this time, I made his brother come out of that room and go into my room and lock the door. I locked the door in their room, and I stayed in there praying the whole night. And I said, "You're not coming back in here messing with my children." And it didn't come back. I mean, it didn't come back at all. But that night, I prayed the entire night, on prostrate, laying on my face, praying, like on the ground, just laid out flat praying.
Yeah,
and I know it sounds crazy.
I don't blame you.
But you're messing with my kids. So, okay, you know, we got a problem in here. You know, messing with me because I deal in the paranormal is one thing. I open myself up to it. I deserve it. You know, I may talk to somebody that has an attachment, and that attachment may be like, "Oh, you need to mind your business. I'm going to come pay you a visit." But to go in there and mess with them is a whole nother story. It's a whole nother ball of wax.
Man, when I was a kid, I saw all kinds of things, man. I mean, really, like, especially in the toddler years. It's, you know, I've seen videos, I think Coast to Coast AM put a video out of a shadow being that just comes out of nowhere that just pushes a kid for no reason. And I've always felt this kind of, like I've had way more fearful, crazy, like terrorizing. There's fear and then there's terror, right? I'm sure people know the difference. I've had way more terrorizing experiences as a young child than I've ever had as an adult. And the more children I talk to, even my own, I feel like there's something out there that's trying to inflict this terror on these kids to program them with it. I don't know. I know that sounds crazy, but why does it keep happening to all the children, especially at a super young age when they're vulnerable, you know?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I do know that there's some people, I don't know. We should talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about that next time. I do know for a fact there's some people who in different sects that think sects or cults that believe that children's innocence is the most precious thing because it can be corrupted. So if human beings in this realm feel like that innocent soul, torturing it and corrupting it and then killing it, which is, we know there are people who do that. If they think that they gain extreme pleasure and power from doing that, I can only imagine, you know, they say as it, you know, is on earth, or as it is as so above below.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, if it's like that in this realm, then I can only imagine what it's like in the astral realm, or however we describe the other spiritual realm, where there's entities that are seeking power. Maybe they get power from torturing little children at night and scaring them to death. Or maybe it's their job to scare them at that point in time so they can have an anchor to know that, okay, something scared me. I need to find a higher power to help me. I don't know. I mean, it could be, to me, it's like interdimensional, not interdimensional, a spiritual chess game being played.
Right.
But it's 7-dimensional chess. It's not like one board. It's like 17 boards laid out, and the pieces are moving on different boards on different levels and different heights, and all this stuff is going on. And I don't think it's meant for us to understand now. I think maybe when we pass away, we'll understand what's going on. But clearly there's some kind of battle being played. And when I say chess, I mean chess is a game of war, not just a game. I mean, there's war being waged. And how all the pieces to the puzzle fit together, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think I really want to know, to be honest with you.
It seems like one side is all about terror, fear, and death. I mean, just to be honest with you, and the other side's about life and light. I couldn't tell you what it is, but that's definitely what's there, you know. And the one thing, I mean, I can really wrap my head around this stuff if these things are phasing from, I guess you could say, different realms. But the one thing that really bugs me is the black-eyed kids thing. Black-eyed children. I don't know, there's so many stories about that, but I can't wrap my head around on why that would even exist.
I haven't been able to figure that out either. I've gotten to several stories of it, but I haven't really figured out what they are. I mean, when you go back and you look through, and try and look for a source of it, like going back into, Babylonian days, or going back into pre-Diluvian area before the flood. I don't really see anything about black-eyed kids or black-eyed beings there. I see all kinds of things about, like, part human, part man, fallen angels sleeping with women and creating giants. I see all that stuff. You can find all that, but I can't find children with black eyes. And hey, could I be looking in the wrong place? Absolutely. So if you know where to find that information, send it to me so I can read it, just for educational purposes. But I can't find it. I mean, I could talk to you about giants walking around eating human beings right here in America. That was happening, but I just can't find anything on it. So I don't know where it stems from. I see where it started, in modern day times, a couple of years ago, and I see kind of this popularity of it growing, kind of like the same thing with the rake creature. There's a definite start to it where you can draw back to that beginning of it, but there's no, like, going back, thousands of years, like everything else.
There's no lore about it, like the werewolf. There's no lore, whatever.
There you go, exactly. That's the word. Thanks for articulating that for me. It's getting late. I'm struggling with words, but there's no lore about it.
Lore has to, in my opinion, it comes from somewhere. I mean, but another thing too is, like, I think that we're creating these things, and I've talked to Nick Redfern about this. The whole Slender Man. I don't know if you had anybody tell you about Slender Man or call you or talk to you about it, but the whole Tulpa aspect, where when we focus on a being so much, it becomes real. And I've talked to so many practitioners, mystics, Christians, you name it, and they all talk about this elemental thing where we create these things, whether by accident or on purpose. And if enough people focus on it and it gives it more power, then the more real it becomes. And that whole Slender Man thing makes total sense, because we all know what happened with that.
Right.
It was horrifying. And so I'm wondering if the black-eyed children are something that maybe somebody conjured up, somebody dark or some sect of darkness that did it.
I don't know. All I know is they show up at my doorstep, they getting 2 bullets. That's all I can tell you.
I remember listening to a story that you told about that a person told you they were, I don't know if they actually shot at him or not, but it sounds crazy to shoot at kids, but really think about what would you do if black-eyed children were coming after you. I wouldn't be afraid to.
No, I'm pulling the trigger on that one. Now, if their eyes turn white afterwards and normal, then I'm going to jail. And I'm not even going to sit there and be like, oh, their eyes was black. I'm like, I'm going to take this charge. I'm going to sit. But I know what I saw. But don't be coming to my house with no black eyes. That's the creepiest thing to me. is because it's a child and there's no expectation of that evil or that presence of darkness being in that child. That's what really bothers me about it, because it is a perversion of what is all supposed to be good and loving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a total perversion of it, and that's what really bothers me about that.
Do you find it in your life that you have to, because you talk to so many people, you know, I was taught in my practice that the more you hang around people that are negative or they're telling you negative things all the time, that it rubs off on you and it affects you, right? And you have to get rid of it. Do you find that, you know, if you don't pray enough or if you don't do what you need to do enough, that happens to you with all those stories you talk to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I call it cleansing myself, because again, you know, what most people do is they write stuff down, and I'm probably going to start writing now because I keep all of it inside my head. So the reason why I still do interviews is to purge the information. Like, I can create the information as stories, but it's because I received it from conversationally, and it's easier for me to give it back out conversationally. Like, a lot of the stories that I've told you, I've never told anybody. Like, you know, some of these Dogman stories. If I was to sit down and try and, you know, write it out, then record it, it's a lot more difficult. You know what I'm saying? But just to give it back to you like it was given to me is easy. So I say all that to say that information is trapped inside my head, and I've compartmentalized it because I do a lot of things. So I wear different hats. So when I put on a Dark Waters hat, I sit at a certain desk, and then I let myself become Dark Waters. But outside of that, I'm James the rest of the day. You know what I'm saying? And that's what keeps the balance. And James is a loving father who has 2 handsome sons, a beautiful girlfriend, great friends who love him. He's a cigar smoking guy who can network and hang out with anybody. So that person, like Dark Waters, I've said many times, is a straw man. That's a part of me. But if I ever let that straw man become more than what he is, then it's a problem. And that's why you started to see me over time start talking about more about who I really am, because the straw man of Dark Waters can't come to life. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not going to work. He takes darts and takes bullets and takes shots from people because it is what it is. But I don't want that part of me to grow so big to where those negative influences can come in. Now, there have been some people that I've talked to that, I mean, for the next 4 or 5 days, I was just negative. And what I had to do was pray about it and get whatever that is away from me. And some people I've talked to, and I just will never answer their phone call again. I mean, I won't. And just, I don't know if we got to go, but one of the things, like, you can see it in this industry. Like, take, for example, perfect example, the overwhelming need for people to witness and watch somebody fall or fail or be destroyed.
Why do we do that?
In this field? I mean, and now as human beings, we do it a lot, but in this field, I mean, there's this overwhelming, like, the spirit of, oh, I want to see this person fail, or this person sucks, or this person did. And you read the comments and you watch it and you see it, and it's like, wow, look at, and it starts off, and if you ever pay attention to it, if you got Facebook or Twitter, next time it starts to happen, I want people to watch it. It'll start off with 1 or 2 people, and be like 1 or 2 people that are making a negative comment. Then it goes to 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Next thing you know, it's hundreds of people all going in the same direction. But it's this spirit of negativity. And then part of it is because, you know, electronic means of communication make it easier, but also a huge part of it is individuals, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people who are just very nasty, you know, negative individuals, but they play on the emotions of everybody else. And it just provokes this spirit of negativity. And that's one of the biggest things that in the paranormal field that I see, that as an influencer in the field, that I see that I think that we all should attack. You know, I think that when that kind of stuff happens, we should attack it. Like, if I got a beef with somebody, I tell people, look, you ain't got to say nothing. I'm going to say everything. I'm going to say stuff worse than you'll ever say. You know what I'm saying? So you don't say nothing on my behalf. And I think the way you calm that spirit down is other people have to be responsible and say, listen, guys, I don't need you running over here talking about this person or that person. Let me and them work it out, because what you're doing may make it impossible for me and that person to make amends because you're just running your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, I've definitely seen that. And it's like some kind of overwhelming need to get the dirt. And then when they want to get dirt or they talk dirt, and then it goes back around to how many hundreds of people, and the story that you hear, it's just that old nasty rumor story. But I do think it's like a spirit of something for sure. Like it feeds on it and it just starts spreading. It's weird.
It's almost like it's like a contagion spreading. I've seen it happen to me before. The very first time I saw it happened on Twitter. And it was me and this guy got into it because he lied. And I just told him, look, bro, you're a liar. I told him publicly, whatever. I'm not tripping. Whatever. I'm cool. I don't need you. And then I watched it start with one person and two people and three people. And I was like, what's wrong with these people? Like, it ain't even your business. It doesn't even affect your day. It doesn't affect your life. It doesn't stop you from, getting your coffee, putting gas in your car, sleeping with your girlfriend or having sex. It doesn't stop any of that. What's going on over here doesn't stop that, but you dedicated so much time and energy into this. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why dedicate that much into this? But that's what made me think that, okay, this is some kind of spirit of negativity. And that may not be the right word. There's got to be some kind of defining name for it. But there's a reason why in the Psalms in the Bible, there are Psalms that are specifically designed to defend you against slander and anonymous enemies that are coming after you, because clearly it's been going on since then, since biblical days and before then. So clearly it's something spiritual that happens. And I just think that it's magnified now with these electronic means of communication. And you see it on the streets with riots, and you see it when people go to restaurants and people kicking people out of restaurants, or people mistreating other people because of this spirit of negativity. And then we're going to leave it at that definition as the name of it, but you see it.
Because it makes sense, right? I mean, spiritually, like in that realm, when you get a mass quantity of people, and we've seen these riots happen here recently, when they get angry and hateful, they gather in groups, and they're so influenced by the negative vibration of the spirit of the moment of what's happening. But if you ever pulled one of those people out of that crowd individually and just sat with them and talked one-on-one, 90% of the time they're a good person, they're logical, they're not like that. But when this, I guess you're right, and when the spirit of whatever it is happens and it gets into the crowd, it's like something turns off.
You know what it is the perfect word to describe it is chaos. That's the word to describe it, because that's exactly what it is. It's just chaos. It's chaotic. Because it doesn't even make sense what they're saying or what they're doing. None of it makes sense, but they're caught in that chaotic moment. So it's chaos. So whatever the spirit of chaos, when that kicks in, it's crazy. And that is really prevalent in our field. And I just say that to everybody listening under the sound of my voice, so you'll know not to fall into that. And I'm not perfect, because I've provoked it. I'm known for, if you cross me, I'm going to say what I got to say, and I'm not going to worry about it. But at the same time, it just needs to be known that that's what's going on. It's a larger thing going on than somebody just not liking Joe or not liking Dark Waters. And I just want people to be aware of it, because if it's prevalent in this area of your life, you'll probably see it somewhere else if you're paying attention, Well,
so be nice to each other, and remember, prayer works. I think that's what we learned tonight. Man, I really appreciate you coming back on the show. It's been a blast talking to you tonight. We got to get out of here, but the website is iamdarkwaters.com, iamdarkwaters.com. Just tell everybody a little bit about where they can find you, too, as well, and what you got coming up.
You can check me out on Facebook at DarkH201, which is probably where you find the most information. Twitter, DarkH201. We're getting ready to release the part 2 of this album called Inhumans. You're not going to want to miss that. I mean, it's really, really deep stuff. True stories told to me by some gentlemen who they're on some crazy stuff, but it's true stories. I hired new voice actors to create more content. There's a lot coming down the pipeline. Video game coming down the pipeline the next 30 days. So the best bang for your buck in the paranormal world is IamDarkWaters.com, hands down. And that's my goal is to make it the Netflix of paranormal. So, and that's what I'm working towards.
Well, thank you so much, man, for doing this. We'll have to do it again sometime in the near future. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. And guys, go check it out. IamDarkWaters.com. We're going to get out of here. Don't forget this show was produced by the Fringe FM. It cannot be rebroadcasted or syndicated without written permission. Monday through Thursday night, every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. And music was by Chronoke Space Station, Bundy, and Cassiopeia. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.